Good morning, everyone. We have a new host here in the morning, but before we get to that, we are going to do some traffic and weather. It is 6 o'clock in the region. You are listening to WJLB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM in Hammond, Indiana, and you're also watching live here on YouTube. So before we get started, of course, traffic and weather. So currently right now at the Shack and Van Til Studios, it is 78 degrees and it might be 80 degrees in the studio, but that's okay. We're still here bringing you all this amazing weather updates of this heat wave. Today we are seeing highs of 90 degrees, partly sunny and toasty conditions. A thunderstorm in spots this afternoon, possible danger of dehydration and heat stroke while doing strenuous activity. So be sure to stay cool, everybody out there. Tonight you're going to see a thunderstorm in spots early this evening. Otherwise, hazy, warm, and humid weather. And there may be some fog a little bit with some wildfires that are in distant states that can reduce the air quality as well. On Friday, highs of 88 degrees, lows of 72 degrees, humid with an afternoon thunderstorm, and then we're going to see partly cloudy, warm, and humid weather. Saturday into Sunday, we're seeing still that 88 degree weather with a low of 69. Humid, stray thunderstorm Sunday, highs of 83, lows of 65 as we cool down a little bit to lower 80 degree temperatures throughout the rest of the week. Let's take a look at traffic. Traffic in the Northwest region is actually looking pretty good. 65 going north and south is looking good. 80 going east and west is looking good. 90 going east and west is looking good. Chicago Skyway, Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, they're all coming along great. We don't really have any traffic, so that's pretty good. And with that being said, let's get into our morning show. Good morning.
Good morning, Adriana. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Folks, this is Jim Wieser helping out here at WJOB and decided to come in and Jim was kind enough to say, hey, give a shot at the morning show. And I said I'd like to do that. I've listened for many, many years. And I've been on here for many years in different capacities. And I just decided it might be a nice thing to do on this Thursday, July 16th. Little toasty
It
this
is
morning.
a little toasty.
A
Yes.
little bit. And I know we have to be very, very careful on those alerts about that, about the smoke. It carried in from the wildfires that's in the air, and we really have to watch ourselves today, folks. I mean, take your time, hydrate a lot, be careful, take advantage of the air conditioning when you can, and try to enjoy it because it's going to be a steamy one. Well, again, welcome to the show, the morning show. I will be here with you from 6 to 9. A lot of things going on, folks, and this is your moment, and this is your time, and this is your show. So I look forward to talking to you. I look forward to having you call in and express your thoughts and your views and your opinions on anything and everything that's going on in Northwest Indiana, particularly in Lake County. What I did and what I've been thinking about is, this is the summer. This is the real hot point of the summer. A lot of activities going on. A lot of interesting things going on in our area right now that I just thought I'd highlight for you all to think about. And if you'd like to comment on them, be more than welcome to hear from you. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a list of some thoughts I had of topics that are more in the area of almost like tourism or entertainment or things that are going on in our community over the next couple of weeks that are very impactful in Northwest Indiana. Whether it's the Festival of the Lake that started last night at Wolf Lake, whether it's the Pierogi Fest that's going to start next week, or the Lake County Fair that'll start a couple weeks later. There's so much and so many activities going on for families, for all of us to enjoy and participate in. and that's something that we might want to comment on. Prior to going over all that and some other things, I did want to let you know that this morning we will have several guests that will be with us. We'll have John Doherty, who has his regular show. He'll be in here at 7:30. John's always incredibly informative in the world of medicine and the world of especially athletics and the impact of participation in athletics on your health and your well-being. He's one of the founders of the concussion clinic here. Does a remarkable job, and he'll be here to talk. He had a very, very interesting article that I glanced at and read. I think it was Tuesday in the Times. We might talk about that a little bit, and he'll be on board at 7:30. At 7 o'clock, we are going to have an interview with a person who's been a longtime advocate for Northwest Indiana and Lake County, former state senator. Her name is Karen Talion. She lives in Porter County, but has been an advocate for Lake County and Northwest Indiana, and was an advocate for many years as a state senator. She now wears a different hat in the world of government and politics, and that is that she is the chairperson of the and chairwoman of the Indiana Democratic Party, state of Indiana Democratic Party. And she's going to come in, as many of you know, over the past several weeks, both parties, the Democrats and Republicans, held their conventions in the mid-year elections. It's required by state law, and they're required to select people to fill and run for important positions in the state of Indiana in the off-year election. And so both parties elected candidates for Secretary of State. That would probably be, I guess, what political people would think is the top of the list. And for they've changed the name of it. It used to be the state auditor, and I think it's now known as the state comptroller. That's a relatively recent change in Indiana law. And the state treasurer. Those were the three offices that were up at conventions. And she's going to discuss that, talk to us about that, talk to us about her perspective and her viewpoint as to where the state of Indiana is headed politically, how she views the midterm elections in the state of Indiana. It's going to be very timely, and really looking forward to hearing from former state Senator Talion. So I wanted to let you all be aware of that, and you will have your opportunity to call in and ask questions to Karen, and I encourage you to do that. And I guess what we'll do now is kind of, for this morning, turn back to some issues. They're not necessarily issues, but different programs that are taking place. As I mentioned earlier, before I was telling you about our guests, and what's going on in Northwest Indiana. And I guess I'm kind of sensitive to this in terms of some of the incredible athletic events that occur for youth in our communities here that have statewide and even sometimes national ramifications. And I'm sensitive to it because I have 4 grandsons, 2 of whom live in Crown Point and are both very active in Crown Point youth baseball. My oldest grandson, who's 13, and his brother, who's 8, and my son's been crazy enough to get involved and be on the board of directors at Crown Point Youth Baseball, and I bring it up because this week, or just last week, we had a number of teams from this area participate in boys baseball, statewide boys baseball. And I don't know the exact count, but I believe it's about, I think that Crown Point youth baseball came home with like 4 state titles. And that's just amazing. I'm not talking about 4 like regional titles or, the title in your town baseball league or whatever, which are important. Don't get me wrong. But these were state titles. So this is this is something that I know our community is very, very involved in, has been for years. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to acknowledge that. But I also wanted to take that as time to lead in to a program that I believe, in fact, I think the opening ceremonies are later this afternoon, and that is the National Softball Association Championships are being held here in Lake County, in Crown Point, and other venues, which is an amazing show of respect from the National Softball Association to our area about the significance of sports in our area, how so many kids participate. In this case, it's National Softball Association. It's girls. It's the Girls National Softball Association. Hundreds of kids, hundreds of dozens and dozens of games that'll be going on. Hundreds of participants. Many, many more parents and friends and family watching, and it's so good. It's so good for our youth, and it's so good for the spirit of our community. And I have to admit, it's also good for the pocketbook, folks, because I'm blessed to be a member of the South Shore Convention and Visitors Bureau. And we get heavily involved in supporting these types of contests, these types of events, and the NSA one is a big one for us. In fact, we usually hold our monthly meetings at the Convention Center on Kennedy Avenue, not far from here. However, today we're holding our meeting a little later in the afternoon at Bulldog Park in Crown Point. We're holding our monthly meeting so that we can all be present, be around, and participate in the ceremonial kickoffs and events that are taking place. And we can all be there and watch where our money, the money that we're responsible for, the money that we're stewards of in that organization, and watch our hotels being filled up, and watch our restaurants all being used, and watch our stores and our vendors all receiving the benefit of so many people coming in from out of the area, from out of the state, from across the country, into Northwest Indiana and into Crown Point and into Lake County. It's really it's a remarkable event. It takes a lot of effort by a whole lot of people to put it on, to make it go, to make it work. And I encourage all of you, if you've got time this week, if you've got family time, the kids are home, baseball in many areas is over for a while, this is the time to take part in this particular event. Go to it, contribute to it. There's a entry fee, an entrance fee. I welcome you to go to it. You can look it up. You can look it up on our website for the Convention and Tourism Bureau. They have it all. It's all laid out there for you. And I strongly encourage you to enjoy and watch some really, really excellent softball with many skilled participants. And need I remind everybody that the high school team that won the softball championship this year was Lake Central, our own Lake Central Indians. And that says something about our area and how we support youth programs and sponsor them and support them. And I encourage you all to do that.
Well, I do want to ask
yeah,
your opinion.
Adriana, sure.
I do want to ask your opinion on. So you said that these sports are now looking at Northwest Indiana. A lot of these different sports, whether and of course Crown Point has a long running history of bringing home a lot of state titles. They do. They have amazing athletes, and especially with the new regulations with the IHSA.
Yes.
IHSA.
Yeah. IHSAA.
AA, yep. I'm like all the letters. With their new rules and regulations, they are able to acquire a lot of talented athletes. Now, as people are going through high school and being these star seller athletes, do you think that with the talk of the Bears Stadium coming to Northwest Indiana, that might encourage these athletes to maybe want to stay a little closer to home when thinking about colleges? Because if the stadium does come and all of these athletes are able to participate, and it's not just football, it could be soccer, it could be a bunch of other sports,
Sure.
and or entertainment that comes to Northwest Indiana. Do you think that would encourage these students to kind of stay local to the region because of that?
You know, that's an interesting question. I certainly hadn't given it specifically a thought. Certainly thought about the Bears coming here.
Yeah. Also, what's your opinion on that?
Hardly, and I'll tell you, I think that there's a strong possibility that could be true. First of all, I think, let's take Purdue Northwest, for example. They do have some excellent sports programs already.
Yes.
And I understand, you know, Purdue Northwest, and I'm an athlete, and I'm thinking, boy, where do I want to go? I don't think I'm maybe going to be a Division I player. I don't think in football, or I don't think I may be going to be an all-star in baseball or whatever. But I know I can play, and I also know that I can get. I could stay close to home. I know that I could play, and I know I could play in a good program. And I know I'm going to get a good education. If for anything else, our producer is an example of that, who just graduated from Purdue Northwest, and will be going on to further her education there in graduate program. So I think it's a great point, Adriana, and I think there's a lot of kids that are playing ball now across the region that will, you know, take a look and say, hey, I like Purdue Northwest. I like IUN. Calumet College has a wonderful program and good education, and I could definitely see that happening. And the other thing I think that might happen off of that is you will attract a good chance you're going to attract some high level or talented, let me put it that way, some talented coaching that might not necessarily have thought about being here or staying here, but said, man, we've got all this going on. We've got an NFL franchise in Northwest Indiana. We've got great programs already. We can build on that, and we can find kids that are going to those schools that will participate. So yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think I definitely think that possibility exists. I could see that happening, sure.
Yeah, as well as for also there was recently that was put out that Northwest Indiana unions vowed to oppose the politicians who don't back the Bear Stadium food tax. Now that is a concern for a lot of individuals, food tax, property tax, a lot of these different taxes that residents would have to pay if the stadium does come. But that does open up a lot of jobs for individuals. Now, with the unions, when they build the stadium, do you think that that also, for kids who may not want to go to college, they may want to do a trade, that may want them to stay too? Because it's like, well, there's a real big project about to happen. Maybe I could be part of it.
Oh, there's no question about that. I just either run into or talk to Randy Palmatier on any given day about that issue. The director of the executive director of the Northwest Indiana Building Trades Council. there's no doubt about that, and I think as this progresses, as the bear relocation here, hopefully progresses, people are going to understand that, and they're going to know, especially like the folks. And I get it. I sat in those seats before as an elected official, having to decide tough issues regarding the use of taxpayer dollars or the increase of cost to taxpayers for certain projects, capital improvement projects that are out of the ordinary. Those are tough decisions, especially in counties that feel they're not directly impacted, like Porter and LaPorte. And I get that. And those are hard decisions that they're going to have to make. But I think in the final analysis, they're going to take a look at that and they're going to say, wait a minute, we've got, and we do, let's face it, we've got great construction trade programs in Northwest Indiana, excellent ones. Besides Randy's organizations, and we have the carpenters, and we have the laborers, and we've got it in Northwest Indiana. We have talented, educated folks doing construction jobs all around the area. You just drive around, and besides driving through all of the traffic issues, there you can see construction everywhere. So I definitely see that as a possibility. So I understand. I think we've got a caller
Yes, I do.
on line one. We want to bring that caller in now.
Yes. Good morning,
Good
caller.
morning. How you
Morning.
You know,
Welcome to the
you
show.
know who I am?
Oh, wait
know
a
who
minute.
I
We
am?
got to get him
Oh,
some
I don't have
earbuds.
I
One
don't have them.
second.
Yeah. Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah, we're going to get those right now for you.
Yeah, you could tell.
he
You could
can't
tell
hear-
a
he
rookie
can't
coming
hear
in
me.
here to do the show, not being.
Well, I could say a lot of
prepared and
stuff
needing
about
the,
this guy,
headphones,
but
so I
I'll be
can hear
nice.
what the
I'll be
callers have
nice
to
and
say.
wait.
So
I'll wait till
We'll
he
get
gets
that.
his earbuds in.
we'll
But
get that put on here.
but all you listeners, you can hear me. All you listeners can hear me right now. We have an air
See if we can
quality
get it,
alert today.
The thing is,
It
I
says
looked
limit your
earlier-
outside.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just getting it all
Yeah.
hooked up here.
Yeah, no,
Hey, while
I
he's
realized.
hooking him.
Yeah,
hey,
I realized that looking
can you
over,
hear-
I was like, dang.
Here we go.
Now I could hear you, right?
Okay, caller. I can hear you now.
Yeah. I was going to try to say something while I was waiting for you to put some stuff in your ears.
Yeah.
Don't forget today. Don't forget we got that air quality alert, and it says
Yeah.
limit your outside activity. So if you should have to go outside, and you're good at it, hold your breath.
Turn it down.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
you
we can't do that.
Uh,
You know.
Oh, you're
but-
absolutely
Think-
correct.
Thing I wanted to ask, I call in a lot of these shows, and God, it's the first time I'm talking to a Jim Wieser, or
Yes.
that's your name, right?
You got it. That's my name.
Yeah, I hear you, and I watch you. This Trucker Mike,
Oh
Good
yeah,
morning.
sure. Hi, Trucker Mike. Listen to you. I
Yeah,
hear you all the
I
time.
want to ask you a question.
Sure.
I ask you a question about might be a little bit about the politics of politicians in this area of Northwest Indiana, but like this week they're having 6,000 people coming in this area for that softball stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Northwest Indiana Tourism is booking all these hotels and all this stuff going on, and I looked at the list of where the games are being played and where everybody's got to get hotel rooms. The question I ask is, why the elected officials of Gary, Indiana, that's the reason there's no games being played in Gary, Indiana. There's nobody staying in Gary, Indiana, because they have no hotels. They have nothing to go to and do in Gary, Indiana. And there's no games being played anywhere in Gary, Indiana. Why couldn't them, they got the thing set, they're going to build a convention center. Why don't they get more people to come to Gary if they have a place to stay? There's nowhere to stay in Gary, Indiana. And then they're tearing down old dilapidated places and making Gary look better. I haven't seen it. I go up and down 1220. I go past a lot of areas. I still see this garage starting to fall apart. By this winter, when the snow hits the top of the roof, it's going to go there. I've seen that for 3 years now, sitting there, dilapidated. Why can't the city crack down on that?
Well, here,
Yeah.
I'll tell you from my perspective, Mike. The city is, it's one of those where you have to walk before you run kind of an approach. And you're right. And the officials in Gary recognize this. Eddie Melton, the mayor, I candidly admit, is a friend. It's someone I worked with when I was the chairman of the Democratic Party, and he recognizes the uphill battle that he has, and they're working on it. In fact, that county garage, the Genesis Center, and the former, I can't think of the name of it, on Fifth Avenue, the large church structure that's been there for many years, those are coming down. Those are already, the contracts have been let, the contracts have been awarded. Those are going to come down, and I know it's hard. It's hard to accept how long that might take, but they are making progress, and it's not going to be overnight. I get into Gary now with some regularity because I'm fortunate enough to have two stepsons who play for the Gary Railcats, and so I get to you go watch them play, and I see little baby steps. I see little bits of improvement, and I hope it continues. But on the broader scale, on the larger scale, it's a matter of Gary getting that convention center up and running, and creating some locations where they can then participate like this. Hopefully get a
But the
hotel.
thing about
Go ahead.
thing about they get the convention center built fine. They got the casino, which is in Black Oak. I'll call Hard Rock Casino Black Oak because it's on the south side of 94. Okay, it's not in Gary. I always say that because people say, "Oh, you been to Hard Rock?" I says, "What, the one in Black Oak?" Because it's not Gary, you know. But the thing is, you know, okay, they're gonna get a convention center, but I've had so many friends that come through this area, and they have to stay in another city. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to do in Gary. There's nowhere to shop. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to do nothing. You go down 12 and 20 from Ripley Street or County Line Road all the way to I-65. You see nothing but parking lots full of trucks, truck parking. You used to be a McDonald's, a Burger King on the corner. On the 51, you used to have your Zehrs, Kmart's, and everything. Now, I've been going to the Block Stadium and watching baseball games because I can get in free. For the season of 2026, I can get in there free.
Right.
Would I go to Railcats? Because, see, now I can go to the Block Stadium in East Chicago and watch a game. Mr. Copeland, their city, that baseball field is letting the people in free as long as you're from a certain area. Railcats, because, see, now I can get an extra hot dog or some food at the thing, you know, but I'm going to let you go on that.
I
Now,
appreciate
one
it.
short question,
real
question,
quick,
and I'll let you go.
Yeah, we got another caller on the line, so go ahead, Mike.
Yeah.
Quick. Yep.
Okay, with these lockouts and all these problems we've had recently with NIPSCO and BP and lockouts, isn't there anything our Northwest Indiana politicians can put the foot down on these places for harming our 800 workers that are on the locked out? They can't work.
Well, they sure as heck have been trying. Virtually every governmental entity in Northwest Indiana, certainly in Lake County, has adopted resolutions and said, end it, stop the lockout, put our union workers back to work. And I think the Lake County Council is the most recent one. They just did it on Tuesday. Everybody's behind it. Everybody's putting on pressure. Our congressman works on it every day. We're going to get it done, Mike. It's just that, you know, it's an international corporation. So
those 800 families and their families and everybody's getting hurt right now. We need to really get them guys back to work and take care of those families. So everybody, because of this weather today and the air quality, just everybody be safe today.
All right. You take care, Mike. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay. We have you want to take a little break, right?
Yeah, callers stay on the line. We're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we will take your calls.
We'll take it.
Do you know the station ID, or you want me to do it?
I think we're at WJOB 1230 on your AM dial and 104.7 on the FM dial.
There you go. It is about, there you go, 6:30 in the region. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
For over 100 years, Roofers Local 26 has been keeping Northwest Indiana dry and safe. Since 1919, our highly trained members have built a reputation for skills, safety, and reliability. With a 4-year apprenticeship and certifications in OSHA safety, first aid, and CPR, we deliver quality you can trust. When you need roofing done right, choose Roofers Local 26, protecting what matters most for over a century. For more information, visit www.roofers26.com.
Introducing Powers Health, a health system with a new name and a strong legacy of caring for families in our community. One with a tradition of advanced specialized services and a vision for the future. One with a commitment to medical excellence and compassionate care. Everything we do, everything we believe, powers health.
When your home needs help, the last thing you need is a faceless corporation or sales-driven franchise. At Myers Companies, we've been proudly local since 1951, born and raised right here in Northwest Indiana. We're family-owned and operated, built on trust, hard work, and integrity. And because we're family, we treat you like family. Your comfort and safety always come first. For HVAC, plumbing, and electrical done right, choose Myers Companies. Local, family-owned, here for your family.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Open 7 days a week in 4 convenient locations: Highland, Griffith, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, air freshener, and a towel with every wash. It's fast, safe, and gentle. For more information and hours of all our locations, visit myeasyclean.com. Also, see how you can wash your car daily with our $10 Ultimate Wash for only $19.99 per month. Give your car the best clean at Easy Clean Car Wash.
Ogren Insurance, Hammond's oldest family-owned independent insurance agency, now in its 3rd generation, providing clients in the Chicago area with products from quality insurance companies to handle your every need. Regardless of driving history, Ogren Insurance can find the right coverage for you at competitive prices. To learn more about the insurance solutions and services we offer throughout Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or visit our website, ogreninsurance.com. We're located at 6929 Homan Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. Do business locally with someone you know and trust.
Okay, and we're back. Great to hear from so many of those wonderful sponsors that keep this program going and keep this station going. So, and talking about keep going, can we get to the next caller now?
We got a caller. Good morning, caller. You are on the air. What's on your mind?
Mr. Wieser, good morning.
Good morning.
Speaking of politics, you back this guy. You take photos with this guy. You told us how great he was going to be. How's Oscar Martinez worked out for you?
He's worked out fine as far as I know. I think he's done a great job as sheriff. He had an issue. I agree with it. Those things happen. He was wrong. But in terms of how he operates and runs the sheriff's department, my observation as someone who was a former county councilman that did their budget, as someone who was the attorney to the Lake County Sheriff for 9 years when Bob Stiglitz was the sheriff, I think he handles the position of sheriff very well.
Where are we on that alleged misappropriation of over $300,000 with him? Is that fine with you?
It's not a question of being fine with me. Whenever there's allegations of potentially money not being properly managed or properly spent, that's something that needs to be investigated, and it is being investigated. Right now, it's with the state of Indiana. They are investigating that. It's a complex issue, and I don't want to make it overly complex, but it's a complex issue with the commissary funds. It's an unusual fund. It's a fund created by the state of Indiana, strongly supported by the sheriffs of smaller counties because it really, really impacts their budget and things of that nature. But I said years ago when I was the president of the county council, we need more oversight. We need more oversight of the commissary fund. We had oversight of their general fund, of all these other miscellaneous funds that they had, but not the commissary fund. And And I hope that of the recommendations that the state comes up with when they conclude their audit, one is you need to change the law and let the fiscal body of the county do its job and have its oversight.
You said he had an issue. How many issues has this guy had? And what does it take before you say he's no good?
I've already expressed my opinion on how I believe he's performed in his office. This issue of the commissary fund, I guess the point I was trying to make is much larger than Oscar Martinez. It's an issue. It's a statewide problem because it doesn't have the proper oversight. And I'm not suggesting because it doesn't have proper oversight that there's been misspent money or not. That's to be determined. I can't make that determination, and it's being investigated right now. But I can just simply say that it's a problem with the fund itself, how it's administered, and that's the law's got to change in that regard. So I thank you for your
Mr. Wieser.
call. Yeah, hey,
Mr. Wieser.
one more, and then we'll get to our next caller. Go ahead.
The counterfeit monies, the overpayment, the issue with Crown Point PD, and now the misappropriation of funds. That is more than one issue. And yet, you won't admit that this guy, every time we turn around, has an issue. It's amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Democrats, you wonder why we have the problems we have.
Well, I'm not here as a Democrat, although I am a Democrat, and I'm very proud of it, and I strongly acknowledge it. You can make the same argument in Indianapolis when we have Republican state senators and state legislators being indicted and convicted. We just don't get that up here, and we don't hear it. I don't condone it. I don't agree with it, but overall, I think we're doing well.
You're okay with this alleged misappropriation of $300,000?
No, I'm not okay.
You're okay with that?
Absolutely not. I told you I wasn't okay with it. I said that's being investigated by the proper authorities, and they're going to come out with a report, and I'll accept and understand the report that they come out with. I'm not saying I agree. I don't agree with any misappropriation. So thanks for your call.
All right, we got another caller.
Okay, caller.
Good morning, Jim.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Sounds like Ron Matlock to me.
You know the voice.
I know the voice. How you doing, Ron?
One person said to me, his name was Mr. Flores. He said, "You the voice of the region." I said, "Oh my, don't say that. Don't say that." Because basically what I'm saying, I just heard the other caller talk about all the things wrong in Gary, Indiana. And he was the person that I kind of befriended early on. His name was Trucker Mike. And he said he didn't see no problem. Everything was great. And I just said, you know, and the problem is right now, these same people, why don't Mervyn come on this here? They want to beat him up. They were part of this space. They're trying to get they don't see a problem with that. Now, they question you, and they say Democrats. Basically what they're saying, Jim, all Democrats are no good. I'm just telling you, you listen to this program. You heard me talk on this program.
Sure.
And you've known me for a long time as being a stand-up person. And I always say that there's millions of dollars wake up in Gary, Indiana, and it goes to sleep in suburbia. You know, people come here to make money. You know that. You know that, Jed. And I'm just saying, Jim. So I'm just simply saying that right now, that's the problem. And that's the problem. These same people, former county chair, these same people are right now out trying to get Mervyn out of office. And we know that he's been a tremendous person, one of the best I think we've ever had. But he has a base. We know that there's 3 or 4 cities in Lake County. I would say Gary, Maryville, East Chicago, and Hammond is going to carry Jim, is going to carry our congressman right on to victory and thing. And you know what I'm saying, and I know you're trying to be nice to callers, and you should be. but the problem is, look what happened with those 3 Republicans. They didn't care Trump water. They don't want to talk about that. They say, "Oh no, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about that." Those were decent individuals that didn't want to care Trump water. So I'm just simply saying that you know what's happening in Gary, Indiana. I just happen to believe that right now you got the airport there. It's tremendous. We're going to have the convention center. Gary's on the rise of coming back where it was. There's a lot of things happened in the past. The Genesis Convention Center, I was opposed to them knocking it down. And one reason why I was saying that right now, that convention center will have nothing to do with downtown Gary, where we have fairs with, dinners and stuff like that. I think they could have taken, right now, it was, I think, $10 million to build that center. I remember that time when Katie Hall and all of them went down to Indianapolis. So right now, those same people calling you, sir, they're anti-Gary. They're basically anti-Democrats. And you know that. You hear that program, and you've heard me, I'm sure, on many occasions. I don't run from anything. I say right now I'm an issue-oriented person. What's going on in Washington right now is criminal. It is absolutely absurd. I listen, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get off because I know you got other callers, and I'm sure somebody's going to try to beat me up, but I got a broad, big bag. So right now in Washington, D.C., I heard this interview. They was interviewing this guy that's going to be the Attorney General, I guess. And they asked him, what about the insurrection? Was there a free election? He never answered it. Did you listen to that?
I did. I did. Yeah. For the.
So I'm just saying it's criminal. So you're being real nice to these people, and you should be. But you know what's happening in Gary, Indiana, and you know that right now with the airport and the sugar plant, the FedEx coming here, Gary's on the rise coming back, but they don't want to see that. They do not want to see that. So with that, you have a great day.
Yeah, you too, Ron. Thanks. And I hear what you have to say. I could comment on so many different aspects of that. And maybe I'll save it for another time. I didn't intend for this segment for the morning show to be a political show, other than I guess it's an occupational hazard for people that know me and know my background. But I'll move right into the next caller and maybe weave some responses to Ron into it. So go ahead, caller.
Jim, good morning. It's Dave Kuziak.
Hey, Dave. How you doing?
It's nice to hear someone that has some knowledge on the radio about issues, and that's not a knock on anyone else. It's more of a compliment for you.
Well, thank you.
I know it's nice to talk about Trump. I hear that every morning, and that really doesn't do anything for the quality of life of people in Northwest Indiana. I want to ask you a couple questions if you've heard any information on which is going to affect everyone's quality of life here in Lake County much more than what happens at the national level. SB 1 will be taking effect if it hasn't already, and just in Munster alone, my understanding, though this is I trust people who tell me these numbers, you could be looking at as much as the first year $1 million taken off the local budget in 3 or 4 years from now, as much as $4 million for a budget of 15. And then here's another thing that very few people are talking about that affects my business, but affects all communities. There's a bill that is going to limit the amount of money that local building departments are being able to charge, and people don't realize that could be in the millions of many communities, including Ron's and Gary. And I don't hear a whole lot of people talking about how they're going to make ends meet. And then the Lake County option income tax is supposed to sunset in 28. And now people are saying they're opposed to data centers. I just kind of want to get your viewpoint on, you've been involved with these things. What do you do when you need to cut $3 or $4 million from a 1, 2, 3, and you have very few avenues to raise funds?
Dave, you're right. You're so right. It's so challenging for anybody, for public officials, for elected officials, to get your arms wrapped around those kinds of major issues that take, because one, it's at the core of the tax policy in the state of Indiana, which is antiquated and doesn't address the concerns of the 21st century development community, particularly a guy like you and other people that are that are out there trying to improve life, trying to increase the assessed valuation of communities, and to find yourself stymied as a local official. The bottom line is and we all know, I don't have to keep saying, we know who controls the legislature by a supermajority in both houses, and they came up with a package that clearly was designed to do one thing: help big business, help rich people at the expense of local of of the community as a whole, but at the expense of local government. And that is a major your problem. I consider it the most significant problem in Northwest Indiana right now. And I know all these local communities are struggling with it. And the bottom line is that there's going to have to be, if you want to continue to provide the services you're providing, the police services, the emergency management services, the public works services, the park services, all of that, you need to get creative, and it's going to require taking a looking at the alternate form of tax or taxes, including the increase in the county option income tax, as much as I hate to acknowledge that. But go ahead, Dave. You got something else?
There's no, well, I mean, here's, and this is the drum that I'm going to beat when I'm on, and look, you and I we've had this conversation. You and I already have had our bite off the apple, and it's been a good one. And I love Northwest Indiana, and we both have children and grandchildren. I'm worried about them. I just, it's mystifying to me that every morning I hear a bunch of people talking about Trump, this, that, and whatever, and that's great. This is America. But what's going to affect people tremendously more than what's happening at the national level, and I hear very little about this, although I hear it from the elected officials that have to deal with it. We are talking about major draconian budget cuts, and people think that that's not going to affect their life. It's going to tremendously affect their lives, and then it's going to happen every single year. It's getting worse. So, so here's what the state did, and I said this, and I just can't understand this as a business owner. What the state basically did was they capped revenue, but they didn't cap your bills. That's called deficit spending. And unless the community, and I'll go into what Josh Huddleston did, and I'm not, here, look, if you want a data center, that's great. But Josh Huddleston, at the end of the day, there's an opportunity where here's a young kid, he looked and did research. They got $147 million in 2 years. They're going to get. They may not get all $300 million because the business model will change. But let's just say they get $200 million. They should build a statue for him. Hobart is in debt.
Yep.
And all these communities are going to be in debt. And as we go into the municipal races next year, I think we should hear less about personalities and more about what either party is going to do with this particular situation, because there's only three things you can do. You can either raise more revenue through a local option income tax or bring other business in. You can either cut cost or do a combination of both. And this is where the communities that have true leaders and understand this and keep all options on the table, in 10 years from now, you're going to look back and say those were the people that moved forward. And those who don't, and we've already had a history of this in Northwest Indiana, the divestment in certain communities, you're going to see what's going on. And I love Ron, and I do lots of work in Gary. I don't think they're talking about this. Do you understand the number that's going to do to the Gary budget? The SB1 and them not, they charge the most for building departments, for permits. You're talking about millions of dollars taken off the general fund, and they're about 50, 60 million short now.
Yeah, no,
I mean, I want to scream because I don't hear anyone talking about this.
You know, because I agree with you, Dave. It's so difficult to talk about and to get your arms around it and understand it. It's really interesting you brought that up. I happened to be talking yesterday to somebody about Hobart's situation, and particularly how Josh has gone about doing his job. And we estimated, and this gentleman is intricately, directly involved in that whole process. And he estimates that within 2 or 3 years, Hobart will have the most money in the bank of any community, and they'll be approaching having $500 million to $1 billion because of how he managed that. Now, I know people are upset with data processing centers, and we can have that discussion, but the fact of the matter is he looked and found a way, as have the folks in Maryville, have found a way with economic development to kind of ease the pain that they're going to go through and hopefully not have to make, like you described it, the draconian cuts. And those communities have had some foresight in that regard. My suggestion to our delegation in Northwest Indiana is you got to change it. You got to get down to Indianapolis, and there's got to be some exemptions or exceptions made. There's got to be some changes made, and maybe that'll happen with the election. So thanks a lot, Dave. We're going to have to move on. Thank you so much.
All right, Jim.
Take it easy, man.
right, next caller, you are on the air. What is on your mind?
Well, speaking of quality of life, there's lots of cool stuff to do in good old Northwest Indiana. This coming up this weekend, starting with Festival of the Lake in Hammond near Wolf Lake. That kicked off yesterday, and it's going to go through Sunday the 19th.
Sunday, right.
Today, the Greek Orthodox Church in Cherville, they're kicking off their festival. That goes to the 19th. I've eaten at all the Greek fests in Northwest Indiana, and this is my favorite. Turns out the church started out in East Chicago, where I grew up.
Let me interrupt you real quick. I couldn't agree with you more. I just want to put in a plug. For 17 years, where I initially lived when I moved to Cherville, all I had to do was walk through the trees, the north side of Stevens Park, right into the church. And I went to that festival every year. I still go to it, and you're right. It is the best. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yep. Right now I'm fighting over, am I going to get the great Greek chicken, or they've been touting on WGOB their lamb. So I might even get both. I'll have to eat the lamb there and take the chicken home.
There you go.
But in any case, moving right along, in Griffith, they're going to have their wonderful Art Fest this weekend. I mean, it's located at the Central Park, right in the main drag. Beautiful setting, old growth oak trees, and I've been to this many times, and the quality of the art is excellent, and they have food and other goodies going on, and that's, if you've never been to this thing, you're missing a lot. And there's Lake Station is going to have an art fest on Saturday the 18th. Now, I've never been to that. I'm going to check that out. That's on Clay Street. Yeah. And if you're inclined to want to do a little traveling, the Bristol Renaissance Fair up on the border between Wisconsin and Illinois, that kicked off on July 11th, and it goes to September 7th. When I had kids in the house, I took them there several times. They really loved it, and there are lots of activities and music and costumes from the Middle Ages in Europe. And now, Menards, they've offered coupons to get reduced entrance to get into the Renaissance Fair. I'm going to be going over there this morning. I'll check to see if.
Thanks for letting us. Thanks for letting us know about all that. Those the smaller art fairs I wasn't aware of. We had made announcements about it earlier. I appreciate it. I've got to move along. I got another caller, and we've got an interview coming up shortly. So thanks a lot for giving us that info. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Adriana.
Yep.
Karen says she doesn't.
Okay. Wait 1 second.
Okay. We're just trying to.
Yep. What's up? What do you need? Zoom link? Yeah.
She texted me and said she didn't receive it.
Oh, I will get that to her right now.
Okay.
All right, let's keep going with the calls.
Okay, caller, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Okay. And before we erect that statue for Josh Huddleston in Hobart, let's not forget that he may have committed political suicide because the majority of his constituents in Hobart did not want a data center. And him and his council went against his constituents' wishes, and they moved forward with it anyways. And his first order of business after receiving his first disbursement for the data center was to conveniently give $100,000 to Mark Koppel at an organization that he represents. Mark Koppel happening to be on the Hobart City Council and a yes vote for the data center. So let's see how this all washes out in the end before we erect a statue for Mr. Huddleston in Hobart. And furthermore, as far as SB1 goes, as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at the glass half full, because if our elected officials have less money to deal with, that's less money our Democratic elected officials can steal here in Lake County. And with that, the president of Haven House makes a lot of money. I gotta go. Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Well, yeah, I say goodbye. Don't have any idea what that last comment was about and don't care, quite frankly. But let me just comment. I never suggested we would erect a statue to Josh Huddleston. I think maybe a caller was facetiously talking about that. there are times, having been in the seat, when you have to make a decision as an elected official that you sincerely believe is in the best interest of your constituents, when it appears that a number of your constituents, and it's never a majority, but when a number of your constituents don't agree with it. It's not an easy decision to make, but sometimes those decisions have to be made. I only think that time will tell, I believe time will tell that the decisions that were made by the administration in Hobart ended up being for the better for the entire community and for the constituents. That's all I can say, and who knows? I could be wrong. So, did we get?
We are through all of the callers. You want to take a break real quick?
We can, and then hopefully
we'll figure out the
be
Zoom.
Hooked up with the interview that we've got coming up. And I just want to mention one thing real quick. The interview we have coming up, we are going to have SB1 and its impact is going to be part of that conversation. So please, you're going to enjoy it and you're going to get informed. So stay tuned.
There we go. You're listening to WJOB. It's 12:30 a.m. 104.7 FM in Hammond, Indiana, here at the Strack and Van Til Studios. It's 6:56 in the region. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these sponsors.
Need clean energy without the junk? I'm Jim Deedlow. I used to live on burgers, football, basketball, baseball. Now I'm gluten-free and more into biking, golf, and yoga. But I still need energy. That's why I love Paradise, developed by Emily D. Edwards right here in Cherville. My favorite is Paradise Packs Strawberry with gluten-free pretzels. Find it soon at Strack and Van Til or at spreadparadise.com.
Fox Point bursts with free concerts throughout July. Our Wednesday night concert series features Hairbangers Ball, Hello Weekend, All American Throwbacks, and Keith Jackson and the Triple Dose Band. Enjoy the Northwest Indiana Symphony Orchestra on Friday, July 17th, and come back for Marrakesh Express and Echoes of Pompeii on Friday, July 31st. Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is just minutes from I-8094 and parking is free. Visit foxpoint.org for our full schedule. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
The best just got better. Tech Credit Union is proud to celebrate being recognized with Best of the Region, Best CEO, and Best Banker. To celebrate, we're offering 3 special CD offers with rates up to 4.5% APY for a limited time. Visit techcu.org or stop by your nearest Tech Credit Union branch or call 800-276-8324 to learn more. Tech Credit Union, the better option for people and communities we serve. Member NCUA. Minimum deposit required. Offer subject to change. Visit techcu.org for complete details.
IBEW Local 697 electrical contractors bring the highest standard of electrical work to Lake County homes, schools, and businesses. From everyday fixes to once-in-a-lifetime builds, we don't just get the job done, we get it done right and up to the highest safety standards. When you need electrical work, hire the professionals who power Indiana. Powering Indiana, Lake County, bringing excellence to the job, creating a brighter future for our community.
There's something for everyone at HealthLink's Community Health Fair. Join us Tuesday, July 28th from 3:30 to 5:30 at the Boys and Girls Club in East Chicago for no-cost adult health care screenings, free food, games, prizes, and family fun. No-cost wild child checkups and sports physicals will be available the week of the event at HealthLink East Chicago and HealthLink East Chicago Harbor West. If possible, insurance will be billed. Call HealthLink at 888-580-1060, extension 5401 or 5901 to schedule your child's no-cost appointment today.
All right, let's see if, yep, now she can hear us. Okay, so
Great.
now we got her on.
All right.
Yep, it was just that we didn't have the microphone on. And I was like, I think that's what it is, but let's just make sure. But before we get started into the morning show, we are going to do a quick traffic and weather update. So, let's see here. Currently, right now, in the Northwest region, it is hot outside. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to keep the weather in mind today, as it is currently right now 78 degrees. Today we are seeing highs of 90 degrees, lows of 72 degrees with partly sunny weather. And we are going to see a thunderstorm in spots early this evening, otherwise hazy, warm, and humid, and some low air quality levels, so be sure to keep that in mind. Friday, highs of 88 degrees, lows of 72, humid in the afternoon with a thunderstorm, partly cloudy and warm and humid. And Saturday, highs of 88 degrees, lows of 69 degrees, humid with a stray thunderstorm in the PM. Taking a look at traffic in the Northwest region is actually looking pretty good. 65 going north and south is looking good. 80 going east and west is looking good. 90 going east and west is looking good. Chicago Skyway, Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan are all coming along great. And back to the morning show.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for that update, Adriana. Appreciate it. As I mentioned earlier this morning, I'm pleased to bring in a guest at this time. Not just a guest, but a dear friend. Not just a dear friend to Jim Wieser, but a dear friend to Northwest Indiana, where she represented all of us in the state legislature for a number of years as a state senator. And she is now currently the Democratic chairman of the state party, and that is Karen Talion. And I think that she's ready to go now. I think we have you on. Karen, are you with us? There she is.
Oh, we cannot hear her, so let's see here. Let me see if I can
we got to see if
fix that real quick. One quick second.
This high-tech
let's
stuff.
See. Yes, this high-tech stuff. Let's try now. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
There we go, and now we got her.
Now
good
we got
morning.
you. Good morning.
All right. Well, good morning.
Hey, well, let me do a quick intro to you, Karen, and give you a warning based on some of the calls I got today already this morning. Some really great calls, as a matter of fact. I already advised you and gave you a little bit of Karen's background. Let me just tell you that one of the really great honors, I truly mean this, of my career in government and politics is one of the last acts that I was able to do prior to ending my 2 terms as the chairman of the Democratic Party in Lake County was the great honor of nominating at the State Central Committee meeting Karen Talion to be the next state chairwoman now, and she was successful. It was a great time in my career. I think our not just our party, but our whole governmental structure and everybody in the state is fortunate to have her in a position of leadership to where she can use her skills and her understanding and background as a legislator to get so many things accomplished. So, Karen, I thought I'd start out real quick. Maybe if you could start out a little bit from the convention now moving forward and explain to our listeners kind of what the convention was about and what the outcome was. I explained to them that it was both Republican and Democrat, but I'm specifically talking about the Democrat convention and how you see things moving forward, and then we'll get into some specific questions and areas of questions.
Well, thanks, Jim, and thanks for that introduction. I'm expecting people know that, we have a primary election in Indiana, and we choose a lot of our candidates in the primary. But there are a few candidates that are only chosen not by a general election, but in a convention vote by convention delegates. People run at the local level to be delegates. They go down to the convention in what we call the off year, the non-presidential year. The three candidates that are chosen to run for statewide are Secretary of State, the state comptroller, and the state treasurer. So we had a convention. It was just like in a primary. Two of those positions were not contested. Jessica Bailey is now the candidate. She's the Porter County clerk currently, two-term clerk. She's running for comptroller. Kumba Kebi is the candidate for state treasurer. And yes, there was a contested primary, if you will, for the Secretary of State seat. So that was now won by Bobi. The Democrats now have a full slate for its statewide ticket. The other thing that I wanted to be really proud of this year, and I think Democrats across the state should be proud of this, for the first time in decades, we have, of the 100 House seats that are up, we have 97 of them filled with Democrat candidates, and we have one seat filled by an independent who will caucus as a Democrat. So that's on the House side. And on the Senate side, we have 25 out of 25 candidates. And this is the first time since post-Watergate that we have had all those positions filled.
Man, I was hoping you'd mention that, Karen, because you could feel it. I was a delegate. I was down at the convention, and you could feel the energy in the rooms, whether it was in the caucus room for the first congressional caucus or whether it was on the main floor for the convention. You could just simply feel the energy. And what impressed me, and what I think you've done a remarkable job, you and the state party have done a remarkable job, is getting not just younger people involved in the process as electors, as people, as delegates, but newer people, not just younger people, but
Yes.
I mean people that were newer, that are in their 40s and their 50s. Can you comment on that?
Well, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, as state party chair, I've traveled around the state to various counties, to various events. You can feel this in the air. I think that's a song. But yeah, you can feel it everywhere. People are excited and angry. They're angry, they're coming out, they do not like what they see happening both at the national and the state level, and they are coming out and getting involved. So yeah, we have people, a lot of young people. And, you know, I'm hearing this year for the first time in a long time from the high school Dems. So we've got college kids, we've got young Dems up to age 36 who may not be in college, but they're still young Dems. And we have groups all over the state. We have a rural summit, we have veterans groups, we have senior groups. Yeah, people are getting involved all over the state, and we're seeing it everywhere.
And that's so, it's so gratifying. By the way, I would assume that Phil Collins will give you a tip of his hat for your acknowledgement of his song.
Oh, yeah.
He'll appreciate that. But that's great, and we're excited, and things are moving forward. But as you travel around, which you've been doing, what, in terms of the state of Indiana and some of what we allege as Democrats are the failings of the state of Indiana, what are the major issues that you're hearing? What you said, they're angry, folks are angry, they're upset, they want to do something. What is it that they're upset about, and what do they want to do?
Well, yeah. So I have often talked about Republican words. Okay. So we've got Republican words. We know what they are: Iran, Epstein, tariffs, Doge. It goes on and on. And if you don't like the national words, we have state words. We have $1 million helipads. We have the crazy Micah Beckwith. We have the corrupt Diego Morales. We have, these are the things that people are angry about. And so, and I like to say we have Democrat words: workers, wages, and wallets. That's the top of our list. People know what the Democrats stand for. They stand for public education, for affordable health care, living wages. And so that's what we're hearing. Now, there are also local issues. Everywhere we go, we have some local issues. People in southern Indiana are worried about the cross-state expressway. People in different places are worried about water, environmental issues, but the Hoosier National Forest. So we have issues everywhere, from local to statewide to national. And yeah, you may hear a little different focus in different places, but those issues are pretty much consistent.
You're right. I hear that time and time again. And I do have a question that really to you, Karen, that is local to us, but it's a statewide issue. And among all the things that you mentioned, one thing that we specifically encountered in Northwest Indiana was the retribution factor, for the failure of in the perspective of our president, for the failure of his people to be completely, totally loyal to him, so they could try to steal an election or steer an election in their direction, and we lost in primaries two state senators, Dan Durnall and Rick Niemeyer, just off the top of my head, because I know them. I respect both of them. I've worked with them on many, many issues. How is that playing out? Because that's a big deal here in Northwest Indiana, and people are really upset about that.
Well, and there was I believe, I'm down in Indianapolis still this morning, but there was a big story that just came out in the Indianapolis Star about where the money came from to support those, what I call revenge elections. So, that money came out of certain Republican congressional committees. It came out of Senator Jim Banks' PAC. And yeah, this is retribution for people who took a stand and said, we're not going to, kowtow to the president's demand, walking into the state of Indiana and demanding that our state Senate and state House redistrict in order to make sure that, he has a Republican Congress. So yeah, people are still pretty angry about that. And it's not just Northwest Indiana. This happened in several places across the state. Greg Walker down in Columbus, Liz Brown, they're still having, a recount for Liz Brown and Spencer Deary. So the only one, or the only couple that didn't actually, that came out on top of that was Senator Greg Good out of Terre Haute. So yeah, retribution politics is awful. I mean, it kind of just makes you sick, but it's happening across the state.
I agree, and I appreciate your comments on that. And so I want to shift gears a little bit, because this was a kind of in the first hour of the program, we opened up the lines to the callers, and they took advantage of it, and we had a number of callers, and several focused on the impact and their concern about SB1 and what's that doing to the potential of funding for local municipalities, and is this going to result in cuts and loss of services, or how are they going to make up for it, and what are they going to do? I know that I'm sure you know Dave Kuziak. Dave was on and made some really excellent points about that. How are we viewing that, and what do you see, if any remedy at all is available? How do you see the issue, and then what's the solution?
Well, I was in the legislature for 16 years. I was also on the budget committee and on Senate appropriations for a big part of that time. And my general comment is that, we've had 20 plus years of Republican tax policy in the state of Indiana. And every governor from Mitch Daniels, on up to Mike Pence to Eric Holcomb, and now with Braun, they all want to do property tax cuts. Everybody wants to have it on their record that they cut taxes. But the big picture is that we need to fund both state and local government. If people want roads to, be able to drive their cars, if they want local police and fire. So we have to acknowledge that, taxes are the price that a civilized society pays to keep their local government functions going. So once you get to that, then the question is, well, what's the best way to do this? And, this whole business with Senate Bill 1, that's 2 years worth of tax policy mess. We're not taxing. The Democrats have long had a solution to this, but nobody will listen to us. And that is, partially progressive income tax. Instead of pushing everything off to property tax and then sending it off to sales tax, we need to be taxing millionaires and billionaires. Instead, we're giving away tax incentives for data centers to come. Hell, the data centers ought to be paying the local communities, So I've got a whole, I could go on for a really long time about the failure of the Republican tax policy in the state, but we need to address that, and the only way that that's going to happen is by in my perspective, taking the long view, and the long view is that we need to take back our government. My long view is that 2026 elections, we break the super majority in the House. By 2030, by 2028, I want to have a Democrat governor. And by 2030, I think that our goal is to take back the House of Representatives, Democrat majority, so that at least we have a balanced state house.
Well, there's many of us that say amen to that, let me tell you. And thanks. I'm glad you commented on that, because it's a complex issue, but it can be reduced to some simple tenets and some simple ideas, as you just pointed out. And when we hear that, not just from the chairman of the Democratic Party, but from a former state senator who represented this area of Indiana for 16 years, it is meaningful. I want to switch to another topic. I know we have a caller on the line. Karen, we're gonna have a caller call in and see if we can respond to that, and then I'm going to get into another topic. So hang tight just for a second, okay? Okay. Caller.
Jim Wieser, Mad Mac. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Mad Mac. Long time no here. Yeah, doing good.
Hey, who's your guest here? I didn't catch the name.
Our guest is Karen Talion, former state senator, who is the current Democratic chairman of the state party.
Oh, okay. I just found it ironic that you guys are like criticizing the state of Indiana with this tax issue and everything, when it turns out we're one of the few states that's fiscally conservative, that has a surplus, that isn't in debt up to their eyeballs, that isn't bringing every illegal immigrant in and giving them all the benefits that the rest of us have to work our asses off to pay for, and you're criticizing it for being successful. If you don't like what we're doing here, I know a place you can go. It's about a 9-iron from my house, and maybe a couple drives from yours, Jim. It's called Illinois. It's a veritable dump over there. And you talk about, well, I can't believe that these guys who didn't march lockstep with Trump, that they got kicked out. And it's like, hey, look, you can voice an opinion that differs, but when it comes down to taking votes, you got to stick with the party, because that's the only way you get things done. Because last time I checked, when you had your buddy Obama in there, you weren't lockstep with that dude, you were out. Pelosi brings you into the office on day one and says, hey, that was a great campaign you ran about independence and free thinking, but here's the deal. I'll tell you what to do, I'll tell you how to do it, and if you don't like it, you're out. That's how politics goes. You know that, Jim, and I know that. And by the way, Jim, when you brought up the corruption and things like that, like down in Indy, what did you have? One Republican was found to be either he broke the law or whatever because he put the wrong address while he was in the middle of a divorce. That's all you got?
Well,
that's the only one, right?
No, I'll tell. I appreciate it. I appreciate. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We're just Karen was having a little bit of trouble catching everything you said, Mad Max. So I'm going to kind of I'll compile it for her, and then we'll get her to respond. So thanks for calling, Mad Mac. Appreciate it. Okay, Karen.
Yes.
Okay, that was a gentleman we call Mad Mac. Longtime caller into the station, and he was making several points. And let me just boil it down, because I know we don't have a lot of time left on the scheduled interview. But he was complaining that we were complaining that that a retribution campaign, you've got to follow the voice of the leader, and we shouldn't be upset about that, and that we're a fiscally responsible state. We have a surplus, and why are we complaining about lack of services when we've got a surplus, et cetera? Bottom line, I think you're kind of familiar with their, pretty much good or state Republican talking points. Can you kind of give a quick response to that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just the technical difficulties. He was breaking up, so I couldn't hear like every third word that he said. But yeah, let me try to respond to that. Yes, I consider myself pretty fiscally conservative. People think that Democrats aren't, but yeah, we really are. But here's the problem. I remember I was on the budget committee when Mitch Daniels was governor, and I remember Mitch being so proud that we had reached the point of $1 billion surplus. Okay? And then the next governor, the surplus kept growing, and it kept growing. And now we're, close to $6 billion in surplus funds. Well, what that means is that the money is basically sitting in accounts in various places. And, they do play games with what is included in the surplus, because they can just change the definitions and say, oh, we're not going to include that. But when you sit on a surplus, it means that we're not spending money on programs. We have cut, this current governor has cut every state agency almost to the bone. DNR is no longer, doing all the things that it used to do, protecting our environment. The state library cut down to the bone. The state archives, IDEM, you name it, and those programs have been cut. So while we sit like a miser with all of the funds in a, quote, rainy day or whatever surplus we're working at, we're not getting roads fixed. We're not offering services to the public. We've got people on waiting lists for Medicare for programs, and so sitting on a surplus is, it's nice to have a little cushion in the checkbook, right? But when you just sit on the money and never spend it, our local government services go to hell, and people are not happy about that.
Let me just comment. Well, one thing, Karen, would you be able to stay with us just a little bit longer? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, great. Well, there was a great article, and I just want to bring it to your attention and to Mad Max in yesterday's Times by Jerry Davich. And the title of it, I won't read the whole article, is Public Safety Threatened by Indiana's Community Corrections Cuts. And it delves into the community corrections program that was initiated pretty much by the judiciary about 10 years ago.
I was there.
You were there, and and it has been one of the successful programs. And now they're just, like you said, cutting it to the bone. Is that the example, or an example of like what you're talking about?
Exactly. I mean, we didn't need to do that. Now, I was in the legislature during the recession of 2008-9, and we did need to do it then. We needed to cut back. But since then, the state likes to brag that we're doing great. And we keep collecting the money and putting it under the mattress. But in the meantime, all of these programs, like community corrections, I mean, I could name all of them. Every single program in the state of Indiana has been drastically cut. And it started with Elon Musk and his Doge chainsaw, but it's drifted down. It's come down. Mike Braun's administration has basically done the same thing, and all those services, all those programs, just have gone to hell, and it's not needed.
Yep.
Because we have the money.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a couple more callers, I know, so we'll get to the phones. And caller, go ahead.
Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
MX.
Hey, MX, how you doing?
Do you believe in free speech?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, MX. What'd you say?
Do you believe in free speech?
Yes. Sometimes I think I'm one of the few that still does, but yes, I do.
Well, I'm going to say something good about you. I got a meme about you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really good. It's really positive. The best thing Republicans have is Democrat Jim Wieser. You mind if I put that out in my site?
No, I don't mind that at all.
I mean, you know what? You're doing a good job, and I want to ask you first because you're a lawyer and I don't want to get sued. So keep up the good work because you're an asset to Republicans. Because after listening to you, I was a Democrat. I'm a vote Republican. And another thing, Jim, how do you spell your name? Is it W-I-E or W-E-I?
It's W-I-E. I before E.
W-I-E.
Yep. I before E, except after C. Yep.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to put this out, and we're going to have some fun with this.
Okay,
and,
I'll look forward to it.
How you doing,
MX?
Senator? How you doing, Senator Kate Talon? I never smoked pot my whole life, and I'm glad I never did. Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, not sure we need to respond to that one, Karen. That's just MX having a little fun. Do we have another caller? Yeah, I believe we have one more caller on the line.
Yeah, hi. You guys are mentioning the idea of Indiana being miserly in their budgeting. You're sort of swimming upstream here. When the other side of that coin is if you look at all around this country, local, state, federal, these programs, 99 times out of 100, descend into nothing but graft corruption and out-and-out theft. Is it any wonder that Mitch Daniels wanted to go ahead and try to make Indiana the exception to this rule? And that's why in this state, in this day and age, we can attract businesses into the state of Indiana that provide jobs that increase the quality of life for people. The reason we could do that is because we're not spendthrifts like right next door in Illinois. And to say that the problem with Indiana is we don't spend enough money, it doesn't really compute. I'm sorry, but not in this day and age. When you look at the massive graft that goes on in the federal and in the state governments, city governments, all you got to do is look next door to the city of Chicago and see what goes on when you start throwing money at problems. The school teachers are complaining because they got to lay people off because they're excessive pay raises, and the city can no longer afford to actually employ the staff that keeps these schools open. They have, because of the teachers unions have robbed the entire budget of the school system there. And now you're saying that we need to do the same thing in Indiana? I'm sorry, it doesn't work.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for the call. I'm not sure that's exactly what we're saying here, but Karen, would you like to comment on that? We've got just a minute or two left with you, and have at it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't think that it's fair that we compare what's going on in the state of Indiana with what's going on in the city of Chicago. Those are two massively different demographics and political bases. So I have to disagree with your caller. I certainly don't believe that 99 times out of 100 our programs are filled with graft and corruption. I don't believe that. Our city services, our police and fire in the state of Indiana, I know those guys. My son was a union fireman for 20 some years. Those kinds of services are not filled with graft and corruption. Those are our basic what we think of as government services. Now, I would remind your caller that, if he thinks we have a lot of graft and corruption in government, let me just remind him that the Republicans have controlled the government in the state of Indiana for essentially 20 years. So, I think that maybe he ought to look there. But the point is that we collect taxes for a reason, and most people understand that the price of civilization is that we collect taxes and we have joint community services that those taxes fund. And when you just collect the taxes and sit on the money and don't fund the services that the taxes were made to collect, that's fraud.
Yeah, well said. Well said. One final. We do have one final caller, I believe. So we're going to get the caller on the line, and then we'll release Karen to her many duties and obligations. Okay, caller.
Miss Talion, what's the number one reason you want to legalize marijuana in Indiana? Let's chat.
Okay, I can talk about that for a long time. I was the first person in the state when I was in the legislature to introduce some sort of marijuana reform bill, okay? And that was 15 years ago. And at that time, my number one reason was because we were putting young kids in jail and giving them criminal records for something that is, shouldn't be illegal. I remember going to the Senate, with this the very first time and said, we have to look at these penalties because this is ridiculous. As an attorney, I had too many kids who got in trouble for that reason. Now, it's 15 years later. That is no longer the number one reason because people, even the state of Indiana, has come around, and possession of marijuana, I am happy to say, is no longer a felony. Okay, so we're no longer putting kids in jail or in prison for that. Now, things have evolved. Over half the states in the country have now made possession in some way legal. So now the question is, as a state, what do we want to do about it? We see. I live in Northwest Indiana. Everybody in Northwest Indiana sees the parade of cars driving from Indiana to Michigan. We are losing millions of dollars of
before you go long-winded.
I'm sorry?
So do you see problems down the road? If we legalize marijuana?
Do I see problems down the road when we got rid of prohibition? Yeah. There's problems with every single thing like that we do. But we learned during prohibition that prohibiting a substance like that doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And more than
excuse me,
I
caller.
know that more than 80% of the state favors some form of marijuana reform.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, caller. We've exhausted, in fact, gone past our time. So I appreciate it. I appreciate your call. Karen, I thank you so much for coming on board and for given a nice overview of what's going on in the state of Indiana, because sometimes up here in Northwest Indiana we always don't get the heads up on everything that's going on. You've brought us up to date, up to speed. All I can say is all of us should be damn proud of the fact that you are a leader of one of the parties and the Democratic Party in this state, and you're one of us, and you've been one of us, and you've represented us. I thank you so much. I wish you the best going forward, and we'll be talking again soon.
All right. Thanks a lot for having me, Jim.
Okay.
Anytime.
Thank you. Okay, Karen. Thanks. Okay, folks. I'm sorry. This was great. I mean, this discussion was wonderful. But you have to understand, we've got a schedule that we have to stick to here to try to get in all the information we can on a whole lot of different issues. So do we need to take a break now, or can I just okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to bring in John Doherty. So hang tight, folks.
Head on over to St. George Greek Orthodox Church in Cherville for Greek Fest 2026 on July 16th through 19th. Come and enjoy the Greek experience with delicious foods like lamb, shish kebab, Greek chickens, panakopita, and many desserts, including our delicious lurkamades. Check out our drive-thru options. We offer free admission, music, dancing, and a $14,000 raffle. Located at 528 West 77th Avenue in Cherville. For more information, contact the church office at 219-322-6165.
Life's biggest challenges don't come with a warning. When legal issues arise, whether it's a car accident, personal injury, criminal charge, or representing you before municipal boards, you need a trusted advocate on your side. At Westland & Bennett, we listen first because your story matters. We provide strategic, personalized legal solutions to protect your rights, your freedom, and your future. Peace of mind starts with a conversation. Call 219-440-7550 today for a free consultation.
From the gas in your car to the heat in your home and the roads that you drive on, our work powers daily life. We are USW Local 71, the proud men and women of the Whiting Refinery. We're not just refinery workers. We're your friends and neighbors, raising our families here, shopping in the same stores, and cheering in the same stands. USW Local 71, powering the region because we are the region.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging.
the person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
All right. Good morning, everyone. You're listening to the morning show here on WJOB 1230 AM 104.7 FM in Hammond, Indiana. Before we get started, we do got a traffic update as well as weather. Currently, right now, we have reported an accident on the exit ramp of the Bishop Ford West before I-55 exit 63. Again, that is an accident on the inbound. On the ramp from the inbound Bishop Ford to inbound Dan Ryan. Expect delays up to 20 minutes if you are headed that way. Other than that, traffic flow is looking pretty good in the Northwest region. 65 going north and south is looking good. 80 going east and west is looking good. 90 going east and west is looking good. Chicago Skyways is looking good. But right as you get up into the city, you're going to see a big congestion of traffic. And that's just with the morning traffic flow happening. So that's all for traffic. Let's take a look at weather. Currently, right now, at the Strike Event Hill Studios, it is 81 degrees. Today, we are seeing highs of 90 degrees and lows of 72. Partly sunny and toasty conditions with a thunderstorm in spots this afternoon. And be sure to stay hydrated as the heat could potentially invoke heat strokes for some individuals. On Friday, highs of 88 degrees, lows of 72 degrees, humid with an afternoon thunderstorm, partly cloudy, warm and humid weather will continue on throughout the nighttime. Saturday, highs of 88 degrees and lows of 69 degrees, humid with a stray thunderstorm in the PM and then thunderstorms around early in the nighttime. That's all for your traffic and weather. Let's get back into the show.
All right. Thanks a lot, Adriana, for that update. Okay, folks, we're going to shift gears a little bit here. I know that it's regular callers in here having me sit here. That naturally it just evolves to politics, and I apologize to all of you for that. So we got a break in that, and I'm pleased to have a dear friend here right now, but more than a dear friend, a real expert in his field. And that's John Doherty. And John's been here for many years. You all know that. I know you've heard him. But he and I were just talking off the microphone here, and I thought John wrote his article in Tuesdays, I think?
Tuesdays
Times was a great, almost like a recapitulation of things John has been talking about for a long time, and sending out, information and sometimes warnings to folks. So I'd kind of want to kick off with that, John,
sure.
and take off from there about what you talked about, primarily, obviously, head injuries and head trauma, but what it can lead to and some results they're seeing, like in ALS and in CTE. And I mentioned to John, we in our family have a passion for that because I happen to have a daughter that graduated from Boston University. She was there when that program commenced, and although that wasn't her area of study, all the students there were proud of their school for having engaged in that. And having said all that, John, I'm going to kick it off and have you kind of hit on those high points of that article, because it was a really good recapitulation.
I appreciate it, Jim. Thanks for having me this morning, by the way.
Sure.
Yeah, the entire issue with head injuries, unfortunately, I think people are getting tired of hearing from people like me about it. But it doesn't go away. And the fact is, if you hit your head often enough, and it doesn't matter what sport you're in, football tends to take the rap. I won't say it's a bad rap, it's a deserved rap. It takes the rap for head trauma. And I'm not really talking about concussions, as important and as serious as they can be. I'm talking about everyday contact to the head at sub-concussion levels that add up over time to what becomes neurodegeneration in older adults after they've left the game, and their lifespans and their quality of life gets severely diminished because of all this head trauma. You have ALS, which is a horrible disease, and you have chronic traumatic encephalopathy that leads to dementia, and people get collision sport athletes get Parkinson's disease, and if they don't get CTE, they get mild cognitive impairment or Alzheimer's disease. And if we could take the head out of these games as much as possible and delay head contact for as long as possible, we probably wouldn't be facing these issues in older, retired athletes that we face now.
Well, John, it makes me think. I had my 3 children, a son and 2 daughters, all played a new game to me when I became a parent, which was soccer.
Soccer, yeah.
And now we've just been regaled with the World Soccer Tournament, which, by the way, has been fascinating and excellent and exciting. But man, I'm telling you, when I coached kids in soccer because I wanted to know about it, as much as I could, I tried to avoid at that age level heading the ball.
Right.
But that is just routine in these soccer games. It amazes me how many times, not only just using their head, but the way that they turn their head, and maybe could just kind of throw into the mix soccer now because it's so prevalent. And
well, if you may have noticed right at the end of my column, we talked about the rates of ALS in retired NFL football players, which is 4 times the national average.
Right.
However, in retired European soccer players, their rate of ALS is as high, if not higher, because of all these headers. Heading a ball at speed is not good for your brain, and there's been recent studies that I've covered in column. I covered in a column just in the last month, not this most recent one. But when you had a soccer ball once at speed, you instantly cause brain damage that can be measured chemically and on an MRI. It's not the MRI you would take at a local hospital. This would be an MRI that would be done in really a high-tech, super strong MRI that would be done at a research center. But they can measure, within 24 hours, they can measure the damage that's been done to your brain by taking a header. And the damage caused by a header, over time, it accumulates.
There's no doubt about it. But you mentioned, I've got the article here in front of me. One thing, and John mentioned before, he says people are probably getting tired of hearing you come on, someone like you with your expertise come on and talk about it from that perspective. But folks, all of you many of you out there, your kids or your grandkids are typically playing soccer, many playing football, and there's even
some
other
playing
sports.
hockey.
Some playing hockey. Yeah, right. Hockey's become very prevalent, and those kids can suffer some pretty tough blows. And this is just as an aside; it doesn't have to. But I look at this young player that the Chicago Blackhawks have, this Connor Bedard. Outstanding. Kid's got so many skills. It's just unbelievable.
He just had surgery similar to yours.
Yeah. Terribly impacted last year by a shoulder injury.
And now he's got another one.
And now he's got another shoulder injury without the first time he set foot in a practice.
Right.
These are dangerous sports, folks, and we have to be real careful. But you mentioned, you said there was a silver lining in the latest study.
Yes, there
that
is.
was done, and maybe you could comment on that.
I've been saying this for years. Again, football takes the rap and shouldn't take the rap. They should take a rap. But retired major college football players and NFL football players, for all the beating that their brains take, overall they're healthier than the average population once they've retired. They have, over the rest of the course of their lives, they have less cardiovascular disease. They have less cancer, and despite these issues with mental health from head injuries, they have lower suicide rates. So, and actually, they have a little better, I believe, on cancer. They have better, they have lower cancer rates than even Major League Baseball players.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Now, the Major League Baseball players in general are healthier than retired NFL players, but not by much.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And one of the things that they talk about, because sometimes we say, okay, so what do we do? What can we do about it? And one that I've noticed, especially now that I have 4 grandkids that are in sports, it says 2 of the biggest things about CTE risk is starting some of those sports later in life.
Yeah.
Like flag football, I think to me is an example.
It is. The people at Boston University are saying you shouldn't play tackle football until you're at least age 14. And then in practice, there should be coaches should be coaching and players should be working at keeping the head out of the game. Purdue University, and actually I met with one of the study authors yesterday because he and I serve on the state licensing board together. It was his final meeting. He's stepping off, Larry Leverins, but Larry Leverins and some other researchers at Purdue University did a study 15 years ago that found that the thing that surprised them was they were studying concussions, and that there was the kids with concussions at the high schools in Lafayette and the kids without concussions, and they were doing cognitive tests on them, and they were doing these sophisticated MRIs on them, and there was this. What was happening with the concussion kids was exactly what they expected with the cognitive tests and the MRIs. But about half of the kids without concussion were having the same bad results as the concussion kids. And so they were also measuring frequency of head contact in practice. They were able to, they had sensors in the helmets where they could measure every head contact. And they found that the half of the kids that didn't have, the half of the kids who didn't have any concussions but still had bad results, they were the kids that used their helmets as weapons. And the kids that did not use their helmets as weapons had no issues. The kids that had helmets as weapons by mid-season were having memory issues that they weren't even aware of, and their memory issues didn't recover until the following May.
Oh, that's fascinating. I had never even given that a thought.
Yeah, Purdue did some wonderful work. Unfortunately, Larry was the head athletic trainer for the men's basketball team for years at Purdue. He's retired now. So he stayed at Purdue, but his research associates all left and went to Cincinnati. They went to the University of Cincinnati. So the work that they had started at Purdue, they've continued at Cincinnati.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Good to know that the work's still going on, even if it's out of state.
Right.
Yeah. But we're grateful. We're grateful for that, and certainly if Larry was associated with the Purdue basketball program, he's got to be a good guy.
Larry's a terrific guy.
Great program. I think Matt Painter, and this is just an editorial, I'm not a Purdue guy or a Purdue grad. I just think he's an excellent college coach and gets the best out of his.
So does Larry. I mean,
yeah.
Larry worked for a brief time before he retired and from coaching. I mean, from being the athletic trainer.
Yeah,
so
he just does a wonderful job over there. He gets the most out of his players
each
and every
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
He's good. So we've kind of touched here on what the latest that you're working on, or the latest that you've written about.
There's one thing we left out.
Yeah,
I kind of took a little bit of sidestep.
Okay.
And it kind of ties in with today's weather. the whole situation with the young man that died at Bucknell 2 years ago. And his head coach at the time was Dave Cicchini, the former head coach at Valparaiso. And this young man, African American, big defensive tackle. African Americans have sickle cell trait, not sickle cell disease, but 1 in 10 African Americans have sickle cell trait, which means they do have the gene. Instead of 2 genes, they just have 1 for sickle cell. And people with sickle cell anemia, they have a terrible disease, and they live with it their entire life with sickling episodes that are unpredictable, and they're disabled, et cetera, et cetera. But people with sickle cell trait, that their blood generally does not sickle, it will sickle when they are stressed by heat or or exertion. And this young man was subject, all of the freshmen apparently on the Bucknell football team, on a July day 2 years ago, were subjected to a punishment workout by the strength and conditioning coach on the very first day they were there for football.
I saw that.
And he collapsed, and he had, because he was having a sickling episode, he collapsed, and he 2 days later he died. And Cicchini's strength and conditioning coach was indicted last week by the Attorney General in Pennsylvania for reckless homicide, and which was in Pennsylvania is a misdemeanor, but also for hazing, which in Pennsylvania is a felony. And the Attorney General has made it clear in Pennsylvania he wants to put this guy in jail. And I think it happened in the heat. That's how most of these sickling episodes happen. So keep in mind today, folks, your kids are going out to condition in their chosen fall sports. Let's make sure that, number one, your kids are well hydrated. Number two, you've had a conversation with these coaches about, we're not trying to win the championship today. Today is a day to back off. And maybe just cancel the workout session. Just go to the beach or go to an indoor pool, because the other issue today, aside from the heat, is the terrible air.
Yeah, and we've commented on it. See that, Adriana? You don't think people are listening to your weather reports and your trap, but people are listening. It's important stuff. And Adriana's been talking about it all morning, that we have to be careful about the air alert, about that. But more importantly, we have to listen to what John's talking about in terms of the impact of heat, particularly on certain folks that may have a predisposition, for lack of a better term, towards it.
If you're a coach at the high school level and you have African American players on your team, you should know who has sickle cell trait, and you need to treat those athletes differently. They shouldn't be doing serial sprinting probably ever. They definitely shouldn't be doing serial sprinting in the heat. And when they get tired, instead of you pushing them like you would push other athletes, you need to back off on that athlete, because the sickling episode can happen like that. And if it's severe enough, the only thing that's going to save you is high flow oxygen. And if you don't have high flow oxygen there at the time, that athlete's, what happens with sickling episodes, your round blood cells sickle, and all of a sudden they clump, and now they're not getting through to vital organs, and quite literally the tissues of the major tissues of our major organs, they end up suffocating, and major damage to your kidneys, major damage to your liver, and the next thing you know, you need a liver transplant, and we know how those things go.
Yeah, it's amazing just to think about what many years ago, certainly back in my younger days, I didn't know a coach that didn't put you out to the limit the minute practices started. It was just that's how you did it, and we've become smarter, but we always need to learn more, and we always need to understand more. And we're fortunate enough to have someone like John, who's here in our community, in our area. I mean, I go as far back as to think, John, when I remember, just as an example, and it's a little off the beaten path, but I had a cousin who played football at Highland High, and he injured his wrist in a game, and he sat on the bench, and there was no one there. There was no
Right.
There was no doctor.
Right.
There was no trainer. There was nobody there, and it turned out he sat there. This happened in the first quarter. He sat there for the entire game with 2 broken wrists.
Oh, wow.
As an example.
Sure.
And then shortly thereafter, and I know you were preaching about it years ago, and you were avant-garde over at Munster about it, about having the appropriate response measures available at high school sports.
Yeah, I mean, it's far better now than it was when I first got here. There's no question. Yeah, 40 years, so hard to believe.
It is. That is hard to believe.
I'm glad.
Unfortunately, I know I'm older than you, so there's not much I can do about that.
Not by much.
So what else is on the horizon that we can talk about? We have a few minutes left here, folks. Usually John wraps up about this time, but we ran a little over because we were having such great discussion this morning, and I don't want to squeeze John's time out. I want him to get his full shot at it. If we've got other things, let's bring them on.
Well, I wrote a couple of weeks ago about GLP-1s, and
I did see that.
Yeah, and Venus Williams, she came back because she credited using a GLP-1 medication.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't lose weight after she had her second baby. And she said no matter how hard she exercised and conditioned, and no matter how hard she dieted, the weight was not coming off. She went on a GLP-1. She got the weight off. Age 44, she's attempted to make a comeback. Had some moderate success.
Serena.
I'm Serena. I'm
Serena
sorry.
Williams,
Serena.
yes.
Yeah, you're
I'm
right.
sorry,
Serena.
go ahead.
I'm Serena. She was supposed to play with her sister in doubles at Wimbledon, Venus, and it ended up not working out because she hurt her knee in that first match. She came back and lost in 3 sets. She had some success in doubles playing in a tournament prior to Wimbledon, but anyways, the GLP-1s helped her lose the weight. And the thing that I talked about in a column a couple weeks ago is how important it is that people on GLP-1s exercise, because when you lose weight from a GLP-1, you also lose, not only do you lose fat, you lose muscle.
I know GLP-1s, but could you give like the common parlance of an example of one? You talk about Ozempic and
yes,
of that
Ozempic.
nature?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
All those injected, and actually there's a pill now, but those medications that people are taking that were designed to help diabetics, but it turned out that they also help people lose weight. And the way they help people lose weight is they give you they cause the release of a hormone that gives you the sensation that you're full when actually you're not full yet. So you stop eating in a meal sooner. And again, getting back to the issue today of heat, people on GLP-1s don't drink enough. They don't drink enough water. So people on GLP-1s need to drink. They need to force themselves to drink water, especially on a day like today. And they need to get enough. They need to, if they're going to eat less, they need to design their diet to get more protein in. Because if they don't, they will shed muscle as well as fat. And then the other issue is there's a large percentage of the population that has, I think that's 1/6 of the population has already been on a GLP-1, but about 2/3 of people stop using them within a year. They've lost the weight, so they like to eat. They stop using them. They put the weight back on, but when they put the weight back on, it's all fat. They don't replace the muscle that they had originally lost. So
that's interesting.
So it is so key for people that are taking these GLP-1s that you see advertised on TV all the time with those fancy commercials. You talked about Ozempic as being one of them. It's crucial that they get enough protein, that they not only exercise, but their exercise is strength training, and that particularly in the heat, that they drink enough.
That's great information because, that's just human nature is
Right.
to say I needed to lose, wanted to lose, had to lose, and lost the weight, and that's it. I'm done, and I did it, and then
They get within a year. Most people, I think, more than 2/3 of people get off of them within a year. And then the odd thing is, within a year of getting off of them, they've regained 2/3 of the weight that they've lost. And as you take it out even further, they end up gaining back all the weight that they lost. GLP-1s, once you start them, they're a maintenance medication. You can't, if you want to keep the weight off, you can't come off of them.
Yeah,
And there are benefits. There are other side benefits to GLP-1s. Despite their dangers, they apparently reduce background inflammation. It seems that people on GLP-1s have less dementia. They have less heart disease. So there's all sorts of benefits to taking them, but you have to be aware of their dangerous side effects as well.
There's always, especially in medicine, there's always the yin and the yang of medicine.
Yes.
And, there's great benefits. I sit here with a sling on right now. I mentioned to John that I had, and those that listen to my podcast know I had a shoulder replacement about 3 weeks ago. And I hear shoulder replacement, and all these things conjure up in my mind. Oh my God, I'm going to the hospital. I'll be in there a couple of days. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. I go to a highly respected doctor who's a friend, orthopedic surgeon, and he says, "Okay, Jim, it's got to be done. And by the way, it's outpatient." I said, "It's what?"
Yeah.
He said, "It's outpatient." I went into the hospital. They started surgery at about 7:40 in the morning. I was home at 2:00 in the afternoon.
It's like my knee replacement.
Yeah.
I went in at 6 in the morning. It's about 18 months now since I had my knee replacement.
Okay.
I went in at 6 in the morning, and I walked out at 2:30.
I mean,
and I did walk out. I needed crutches, but I walked out.
And that is amazing. I had a knee replacement. I'm going for bionic awards. I'm working on that.
Like it.
I had a knee replacement 12 years ago. I thought I was very proud of the fact that I got up same day and did a little bit of walking on crutches, but I was in the hospital overnight. It was some time, and
back then that was an overnight stay, and for most people now it isn't.
It isn't, and I just find it incredibly amazing that the advances, the medical advances that are made all the time, that impact our daily lives.
Yeah.
Where that and I know in my case has improved my daily life. The jury's out on the shoulder.
You'll do fine with that.
I think I'll do okay.
Yeah, you'll do great. Real quick, Jim, I wanted to go over the names of those brand names of those medications.
Oh yeah, let's do that. That's
GLP-1. Right. People don't realize sometimes that the medication they're on is a larger class of medications. They just know the name of the medication they're on. And the ones to keep in mind are Mounjaro. We already mentioned Ozempic, Rybelsus, Wegovy, and the one that it is a relatively new one that Serena started taking. She credited, and let's see what it is here. I'll find it in a moment. Zepbound.
Oh, okay.
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 She's a paid spokesperson for Zepbound, and
those
are the medications. Keep those names in mind. Today, if you're on one of those 5 medications, make sure you're drinking plenty of fluid, even if you may feel full, because on a day like today, you're going to need lots of fluid, especially if you're outside.
Well, John, as always, I can't tell you how much we appreciate the information you provide and the heads up. And as you see, it's not just athletic information. It's wide-ranging health hints, tips, information to you that's backed up by research and the work that John and so many others in his profession have done, that gives you all a sense of what has to happen. But to me, the important takeaway, there's good takeaways, but the important takeaway is whether it's an Ozempic type product, or what is it, GLP-1? GLP-1, those types of products, whether it's your son or your daughter are playing sports that have head contact, or whether you do if you're listening and you're a young person. The point is, you need to be careful, you need to be safe, you need to follow up, you need to be protective, and you always have to remember, you can't just do something and say, okay, I did it, it's done. In many instances, as you pointed out, it stays with you, may stay with you your whole life, but it's a small price, in my opinion, to pay for what maybe comes in the future. So I'm so glad we were able to get together, John.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I really appreciate it.
Good to see you.
And wish you the best. Thanks a
Same
lot.
to you. Good to see you.
Okay, good to see you.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware of where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
I'm Pastor Eric Boone, pastor of the Tree of Life Church here in the great city of Gary, Indiana. The Notre Dame Credit Union. Go beyond and above to make sure that we are in position to make that greater impact. Listen, this credit union is one of a kind, and I'm looking forward to the future because I know that we will continue to do greater things together, and I'm forever grateful for a credit union like this.
Visit NotreDameFCU.com.
Hey Region, I'm T, and I grew up in East Chicago, went to college in Gary, worked out of Munster, and raised my family in Crown Point. I'm Region to the core. I created Region Hot Sauce, the flavor of the region. Added to chicken, fish, pizza, eggs, and more for the perfect blend of heat and flavor. Visit RegionHotSauce.com for a complete list of locations or to order direct. Region Hot Sauce, the flavor of the region.
Have you ever considered becoming an iron worker? Local 395 is now accepting applications for their apprenticeship program. Go to ironworkers395.com. Look under the training section, click on apprenticeship, and scroll down to the application. You must be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and you must be physically able to perform the work of the trade. Find out more by calling the apprenticeship school in Lake Station at 219-962-7675 or visit ironworkers395.com.
And we're back, folks, with the morning show. Carrying it on through for as long as I can survive and get through it. It's been really a joy. We've been at it about 2 hours and 15 minutes. We've had great conversation. We have great comments from the public. We had two really interesting and fascinating interviews, entirely different, a political interview, a medical and health-related interview. So we've had a great morning so far, and I wanna take it a little bit further. I want to highlight a couple of things for you. I started this show out at 6 o'clock in the morning when Adriana dragged me out of bed and said, "You better get down to the station, buddy." I got down here, and I had made a little bit of a list to me, and I was highlighting, and then one of the callers came in and embellished it. Hey, there's this art show, there's in Lake Station, and there's this art show in Griffith that I wasn't aware of. I was kind of hitting the highlights about the NSA opening ceremonies today, Festival of the Lakes that opened last night, and let me tell you, I unfortunately have to go this evening to Berwyn, Illinois, for a function from the university I graduated from, John Carroll University in Cleveland, that I've long time committed to as an alumnus. And it is killing me to think I'm not going to be able to be at Festival of the Lakes and see Jelly Roll, because I love the dude.
Yeah.
I love the music. But folks, if there's tickets left, get them. The guy he's an A+ entertainer. I always wondered to myself, how does Mayor McDermott pull these things off? Get these kind of entertainers. I have a sense of what the cost is, and it's expensive. But he knows what he's doing. The city knows what they're doing. Festival of the Lakes is always just a blast. And I encourage everybody to get out there and to keep looking at all the events that are coming up in the next few weeks that we have talked about. So I am going to perhaps get a little bit heavy on the political side here towards the end. I don't mean it to be partisan politics. I'm fortunate enough to be able to do a podcast where I address that stuff. Those of you who have known me for a number of years know that for the 12 years I was an elected official, for the 8 years I was a county chairman, and for all the many years in between that I was involved in government and politics, I've always tried to act to the extent possible in a bipartisan fashion, with extending olive branches as far as I can extend them. And to me, it's always reciprocated, or I reciprocate it when I get it from others. I mentioned in my examples of the retribution factor, and if you were with us, you heard Karen Talion comment on that. But the Republican Party lost 2 state senators in primary battles because of that. And in addition to that, I just want to mention, I grew up in Hammond. I'm proud to say that, about 5 or 6 blocks from here, from the station. But we moved towards the end of my high school career at Bishop Knoll. We moved to Highland, and I started my political career in Highland. So that's kind of where people know me from, at least from the political aspect of it. But a young guy grew up down the street from me, right around the corner, named Dan Durnall. Just so happened that Dan Durnall's father, Ed, and Jim Wieser's father, Gil, were very close friends due to their participation and involvement in the Hammond Optimist Club, which I'm proud to say one of the founders of was my grandfather. And I knew Dan. Dan's generation younger than me, but I comment to people, I was the Highland Town Councilman, Dan was. I was a Lake County Councilman, Dan was. Dan became a party chairman before I did, but we both became party chairman. And what we carried through all that was a healthy respect for each other, and a healthy respect for our backgrounds, and a healthy respect for our families. So that when Dan and I, for I think it was 6 years that I was chairman and he was chairman, when we had to operate the Lake County Board of Elections and Registration, we did it in, I'm not a real big fan of the term bipartisan, we did it in an overall milieu where everybody worked towards the same goal. We didn't work to a Democratic goal. They didn't work to a Republican goal. We worked to a goal of running fair, honest, impartial, and secure elections. That was always our goal. And I didn't care what side of the aisle you were from, because it's staffed, the election board, the way it's set up under law, it's staffed for every Republican staff member, there's a Democratic staff member, et cetera, et cetera. Dan was a county councilman, so we had to submit our budget to the council. Dan knew budgeting. I knew it from being a former county councilman. I can't remember one overriding dispute that we had. We had some disagreements, no doubt about it, but we resolved them. We always resolved them in the best interest of the board, in the best interest of the office, and in the best interest, I like to think, of the voters of the community. So that leads me to an issue, and since it's timely, I don't usually talk about national issues. I am this time because, as I understand it, there's a president intends to give a talk to the nation tonight, and if all of the newspaper or I should say media reports are correct, it's going to be a talk on elections. And unfortunately, it's going to be a talk on elections based in inaccuracy, misleading information, downright inaccurate and false information. And my God, folks, how much longer are we going to have to deal with the 2020 election? And do you believe that Joe Biden won? Do you believe this? Do you believe that? Folks, it's over. 63 federal judges heard various aspects of challenges to the 2020 election and ruled in favor of the legitimacy of the election 63 times. There was one ruling that was a procedural ruling that ruled in favor of the position that the Trump folks were taking, but that was it. However, so my concern, and this isn't, I try this not to be a partisan concern, it's just a concern. We have a war in Iran. We have tariffs that have screwed up and messed up our economic system, that have spiked prices, that have increased prices, that haven't let them come down like we were promised when the president first went into office. We have oil prices that are spiking and going to spike again because we cannot, it's impossible given the global structure to proceed in a war when you had no popular support in your community, when you didn't have Congress declaring war, when you didn't have your allies supporting you, and then you can't figure out how to get out of it. But in the meantime, gas prices go up, and they'll continue to go up. My point being, we have, and you heard Karen Talion talk about it before, we have challenges. We have statewide challenges in funding. We have national challenges in funding that don't have a damn thing to do with the 2020 election. Let's move on, folks. Here's the story. I speak with some experience. I was the election board attorney for probably a total of 15 plus years. I was one of the operators, I previously explained to you, of the election board for 8 years. I know something of which I speak, and I could tell you, the law is clear. Elections are run by the states. The states then, and in the case of Indiana, pass that on down to the counties. That is how elections are run. That is how they are operated. That is how they have remained safe and secure during the history of our of this republic and this democracy, and we move forward, and we move forward from there. That's the law. The last thing we want to do is federalize elections, because now we're talking Viktor Orban and Erdogan and Turkey. We're going into their territory. Folks, we don't want to go there. We're moving forward. We're moving ahead. The midterm elections are coming. We don't need, you can always tweak things. You can always make things better. The state of Indiana works on it all the time. There's legislation every session regarding strengthening Indiana's elections law. Some of it, most of it is very positive. Most of it works well. Some of it we have disagreements about, but that's what it's all about, and we have discussions and we move forward. But the fact of the matter is, that is a topic that's going to be right in your face at 8 o'clock tonight on TV. Let you draw your own conclusions. These are my opinions, but I consider it a pretty informed opinion considering my background and my involvement in elections which has been most of my political career or in my governmental career. So I just throw that out there. And I have a couple other things maybe we might talk about, but I throw that one out there, and I think we have a caller that I'm assuming is reacting to that, and I'd love to hear his comments. So, caller, go ahead.
Hey, it's Mad Mac. Listen, I just wanted to call you and tell you.
I think he's there, right?
Yes,
oh, wait.
he is. Wait one second. He got to get his earbuds in.
I had the luxury of being able to take these off while John Doherty was here, and now I got to put them back on. So I apologize to the caller. I'll get him in here.
All right, there you go. Now I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead, caller. Sorry about that.
All right, you all ready to run your radio show, Grandpa Wieser?
I am. That's yep. I'm showing my whiskers here, man.
Hey, no, it's Mad Mac. Hey, first I wanted to call you and tell you you're doing a great job today. It's a great show.
Well, thank you. I'm enjoying.
Yeah, don't apologize for talking about. Well, don't apologize for talking about politics because that's what you're kind of known for. So it's like I said, you're letting the callers go along and talk and speak is good as opposed to some of the other shows that are on here where you say anything and you're cut off at a blink. But yeah, you're doing a great job today. So quit apologizing for anything.
Thanks.
And your boys on the little chat board on the YouTube. You're getting compliments all over the place. They love having you. So
well,
maybe you can be a permanent fixture on Tuesdays, maybe, because that show. Well, let's not go there.
No, let's not. But however,
hey, I got a.
Would you like a job as an agent, and I can have you negotiate with Jim Diedlow for get me on at a higher price than the the non-money I receive now? I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Listen, Jim, you couldn't fry a piece of pizza out of Jimmy for the poor. You kidding me? He still got an envelope full of his first communion money, boy.
That I believe.
But hey, let me ask you, since you're so experienced with elections and that, what do you think the chances are when someone gets a ballot at home and a mail-in ballot, and they look at the ballot and they've had time then and it's sitting on a kitchen table or whatever, and they got to fill it out and mail it back in, and it's a presidential election. What do you think the chances are that they only check one box for president and don't fill in a single box anywhere else for not a single candidate? What do you think the chances are of that happening?
Man, that's a great question, Mad Mac. We see that.
Well, I'll tell you the answer.
Yeah.
It's zero. It's zero. And yet, in the 2020 election for Joe Biden, there were 70,000 mail-in ballots in the state combined between Wisconsin and Michigan. 70,000 ballots, all with only one vote for Joe Biden. Now, you send out the ballots and they're numbered, right? So let's say Indiana sends out 10,000, then they get them back. When they come back through the postal system, they've gone out in the postal system, they come back via the postal system.
Right.
What do you think the chances are that you can get 20 ballots that are returned into the postal system, then get delivered to the ballot counting facility, wherever that may be? What do you think the chances are that you can get 20 ballots in numerical sequence slapped right on the desk where they start the counting? So maybe it was ballots 138 to 158, all in sequential order. What do you think the chances of that happening are? I'll save you the time. There's a better chance of you flying to the moon this afternoon for lunch by flapping your arms than that happening. But that happened in the 2020 election. So to say that you don't think there was any monkey business in the 2020 election, I'll ask you this, Jim, and I'll put $100 on this one. Have you read the book Ball of? I'm telling you.
Go ahead.
You picked a charity. I'll take it there today. I got this book in my hand right now called Ball of Collusion, written by Andrew McCarthy. Have you ever seen it or read it?
I'm aware of it, but I haven't read it.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll slap 100. You want to make it 500, whatever you want to do. You get the book, or I'll buy it for you, one or the other, and you read it. Do you know Andrew McCarthy literally nails Obama, Biden, the whole crew. He nails them right to the judiciary hammer of guilt. You know how many times he's been sued regarding this book?
I do not.
Zero.
Obviously.
Zero, because you know why, Jim? You know why you can't get sued? It's when you tell the truth.
It's when you express your
Threaten
opinion.
to take him to court
Absolutely.
hundreds of times. Huh?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't agree with
You
your
read
premise.
you read
but
this
yeah.
book, and they but they tell you exactly what they did. Or Andrew McCarthy tells you exactly what these guys did, how they did everything possible, and virtually the majority of it illegal. I mean, you think the IRS was just cracking down randomly on every conservative fundraising group, with Lois Lerner and the FBI, with the IRS, excuse me? You think that was only a coincidence? Not a single Democratic organization was run through the ringer by the IRS. It was all conservative ones. Come on, Jim, you gotta.
No, I don't gotta. I accept what you say.
I know you're not gonna either, but I get it.
But I'll point out to you, just to comment on a couple of quick things. What is the chances that a ballot that goes to a home gets marked and only votes for the president? You're wrong when you say zero. We get them. We used to get those in routine. I don't want to say routinely, but at the election board, there are people in this country that simply vote for president, and they do. They do. I'm not suggesting right or wrong. I'm just or anything wrong. Now, sequentially, I can't talk. I can't talk about that. I've never heard of that argument. I don't know that argument. But what I do know is that under the laws, certainly under the laws of the state of Indiana that we operate, and I'll just throw this one out. In the entire time that the elections in the modern era in the state of Indiana, and when I say modern era, I'm talking post-World War II, there has been, so that's 70, 80 years, there's been one case in the whole time of fraud in an election. One case. That's it. One reported case. Now, I'm not suggesting it's perfect, and it's necessarily not.
What do you get? Okay. Which one was it? Was it a Kennedy in Chicago in '60?
No. In the state of Indiana, I said, not any other state.
Oh,
I said in the state of Indiana. And
well, we're kind of we're run by Republicans, so that helps.
Well, you are now. You weren't the whole time when there were the Democrats for 16 years ran it. It's not a partisan issue. It's a bipartisan issue. And I'm sorry, Mad Mac. I'd like to keep talking to you, but I'm getting pushed for time here. We've got to take a break, and then there's another caller.
You're doing a great job,
thanks.
Jim. Come back
All
again
right.
soon.
I hope so. Thanks, Mad Mac.
All right. Yep. We're gonna take a call. Callers, stay on the line, and we will take your call right after these messages. You are listening to the Morning Show on WJLB, 12:30 a.m., 104.7 FM in Hammond, Indiana, here at the Shack and Van Til Studios. It is 8:34. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Tech Credit Union supports the essential role of union labor in building strong communities. That's why we offer hassle-free banking, financial empowerment, and a commitment to your success. Save for the future, handle life's challenges, and trust a partner that stands by hardworking union members. Tech Credit Union, the better option for you and your money. Visit techcu.org or call 800-276-8324. Tech Credit Union, supporting union families every step of the way.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but we're trying to make the roads better for y'all.
We're doing this for everyone.
We're hardworking Hoosiers, just like you, and we all want to make it home safely.
People would just take a couple seconds to pay attention.
Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at. We're all in this together, and we're all just trying to be safe.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
Enjoy the taste of summer at the Farmers Market at Fox Point. Every Tuesday from 9 to 1, shop locally grown fresh produce, delicious baked goods, artisanal treats, and local culinary creations. Just minutes from I-8094, the Farmers Market at Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is a perfect spot to hear acoustic musicians, stretch with morning yoga, and enjoy community fun throughout the season. To see all vendors and entertainment, visit foxpoint.org. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
And we're back. Look, we had a few callers. They hopefully they'll jump back on the line. We're open till 9 o'clock, so we're here and we're ready to listen. But in the meantime,
move the mic a little closer to you.
Okay. Can you get it? Is
Yeah,
it okay
there
now?
you
Yeah,
go.
sorry
Yep.
about that. I was catching one of the ear pods in my ear, and I went the wrong way. We're back. I wanted to follow up on an issue that's been brought up several times this morning, and I think it's a one that's so prevalent right now in our community in Northwest Indiana, and that's the broad issue of data centers and their impact and what they mean to their communities in a number of respects. I think it was a couple of nights ago, the city of Valparaiso had forwarded to their plan commission, the council did, a suggestion that, hey, we need to take a look at the regulation of data centers, and not just, let's stop them or a moratorium, but, hey, let's look at it in a reasonable, thoughtful manner, maybe have to change some of the terms and conditions of our UDO, the Unified Development Ordinance, and they've started working on that, and they commented on it, and they said, hey, we think that maybe a pause is appropriate while we reflect on this and while we work on this, and that was echoed by Mayor Costas, who supported that, and I get that, and I understand that, but I thought Karen Talion made an excellent point when she said, look, a concern I have is we don't want data centers coming in here and receiving all the incentives in the world, TIF considerations, tax abatement considerations. That's not the purpose. They should be paying. And she's absolutely correct. And that goes back to the discussion about Josh Huddleston and whether or not a statue goes up to him. But it goes back to that discussion because what Josh Huddleston did was make them pay. Amazon is paying in a big way in terms of commitment, in terms of money, in terms of what that means to the community and giving the community the kind of dough that they need to combat the impact of us, as we've talked about, SB 1, Senate Bill 1. That's an important distinction to make. Data centers come with some environmental issues. They're issues that, many experts think can be resolved and have been resolved in certain areas. And in other areas, it's still being challenged. And I get that. And those are legitimate concerns and those are legitimate issues. But those are issues that can be regulated by ordinance. Those are issues that can be addressed in public forums and public hearings and listening to the folks. But do it in a smart way. Do it in a way where technology and the increase in technology is beneficial to the governmental entities and to the citizens, not detrimental. Figure it out and it can be done. And there's legitimacy to both sides or all 4 or 5 sides of the issue. But work on it. Work on it. Do the right thing for your constituents. So, having said that, I do think we have a caller back on the line. So let's let him through. Hey, caller, what's going on?
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, I was listening to some of the stuff you just spouted. I think you're overly optimistic about some of the detriment with respect to cohabitability with the data centers. They put out a lot of weird noise. It's very, very uncomfortable. We had an issue over here in Robertsdale where we had the soap factory there was making noise just with its fans, drying off stuff, and it was one of its subtle hums that just reverberated through the entire neighborhood. I think you're being very, very optimistic about it. A lot of these things need to be hammered out beforehand, and not sticking the people living with the quiet. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm talking too fast. Jettisoning their quiet life and habitability. That's quiet enjoyment of their property. That's what's at stake here.
Yeah, no,
Nobody
George,
minds.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, George. You're correct. I didn't mean to. What I was saying, and that's why I was using Valpo as an example. And I'll tell you, the perfect example is Lake County. And let me just digress for a second, George, and I apologize. Lake County, the Lake County government of the unincorporated area, they drafted the first ordinance regulating data centers. They were out ahead of it. Since they did that, the Portage has taken and used their ordinance as a template and a guideline. Valpo is looking at it. Others are looking at it to do exactly what you said. Hey, let's get out in front of this. Noise, no doubt. These things bring noise. So what do? The county has a noise ordinance, and the noise ordinance sets decibel levels, and they're done in a scientific, engineered, produced manner and method. They're not just pie in the sky decibel levels. And they even made it tougher.
Well and good.
They made it tougher for the data, just to point out, to the data centers, and they got to adhere to that. Go ahead,
Is the
George.
technology there?
Yeah.
Is the technology there to muffle that? Is the technology available to muffle?
At least that is a concern, and that is the issue. I believe that the technology is there, but they've got to prove it. If they prove it and demonstrate it, fine. If they don't, you're not going to get, or you should not get approved. So go ahead. What else you got?
Well, that's the whole thing. We're talking about being good corporate citizens, and that means something. I know it sounds almost cliche, but it isn't. You know as well as I do. It's something to be a good corporate citizen, and it's vital. And these guys got to step up and show they're good corporate citizens, not just coming in here making a whole lot of money and all other good stuff.
Yeah.
And we've got to hold them to that standard. We do.
Yeah, George,
so that's what I think a lot of this is all about.
And it is.
All right.
To that extent, I totally agree with you, George. And I'm hoping, and I'm looking, and I think the elected officials are responding to that, and are exercising more control and taking more care to take a look at this. There's a data center, for example, in South County that's been in front of the county since, I believe, either October or November of last year. And the county's gone over that with a fine-tooth comb. They had a public forum, and I happened to go to it at the Lowell High School that had 250, 300 people there. Their concerns were heard. A new ordinance was drafted.
That was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
That was
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it was back in May, George. That public forum. But
yeah.
And here's what they've done. This is what I think is smart. The county, that entity has gotten their underlying zoning, but here's what they have to do. They have to come back to the county now and obtain a special exception under the law and under the ordinances and follow the parameters and comply with the parameters of that ordinance. And that ordinance has, it's either 15 or 20 specific parameters regarding noise, regarding water recyclation, regarding pollution, regarding the concern about water wells, a whole host. And it's taken that company a while to get back. they're getting scrutiny now, and they deserve it. But they're also, it's the balance, and you pointed out. Are you going to be a good citizen? If you're going to be a good citizen, that means you're not going to destroy or negatively impact the environment, and that's the balancing act. And you pointed out real well.
That's bottom line right there.
Yep.
That's bottom line. I still got you. If I may ask you one last thing, what do you attribute the fallback, the lack of deal going through here in Hammond with the data center over there on the Illinois state line? That was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, that's a good point, George. You know, I think
that was weird.
I'm only spitballing here because I don't know. I'm not directly involved in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I think, I was involved with representing a data processing center that was thinking about going into South County and decided instead examined the whole thing and said, hey, we've got an opportunity in another county. We're going to head in that direction. But while we were doing the due diligence, I came across an issue that we had down there. Now, I don't know if this impacts Hammond or not, although I did read some information in the media about it. We could not get the guarantee we needed from NIPSCO that they could provide the power that was necessary to do it, the main power, the underlying power to tie into the grid and provide it. Now, I don't know if that's an issue in Hammond or not. It may be. I know NIPSCO's, as you know, they're trying to become very aggressive about it. Unfortunately, I think it's negatively impacted some of the ratepayers or us ratepayers, but that might be an issue. It could be all kinds of things. I never say never.
That's an interesting statement. That's an interesting statement because McDermott assured everybody that NIPSCO was on board and was fully able to comply with whatever needs were needed. Yeah, we're just spitballing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, and they may be, and it may be other issues. What I do know about the administration in Hammond is they don't just pick up the ball and go home. They work on a lot of development issues, and some that you see go south, and then a year and a half later, they're back because they've ironed out, just like we're talking about. They said, hey, you're going to be a good corporate citizen, you got to do A, B, C, D, and E. And it takes a lot of negotiations and a lot of discussion. The mayor's got a talented crew there that does that kind of work for him, and we'll see what happens.
Do corporations adhere to that sort of aspiration or ideal? I mean, are they looking these days to become more of a better corporate community citizen? You know, I mean, given how they're ensconced anymore, it's not just, a business. These things are huge. They're going to be here for a while. I mean, do they look at it like, like BP? BP, I know it has its problems and stuff, but a lot of people think they're a decent corporate citizen. Granted, they've had their sins, but like I said, they're in for a long run. And I just wondered, is that still talked about in boardrooms and stuff?
You know what? Believe it or not, George, since I concentrated my practice in development work 20 plus years ago, I have seen a definite shift in the corporate attitude. I don't want to say wholesale because that's not true, but in most cases, even these major corporations, they are responsive to the local needs. They are responsive to the local requirements. They work to help out the citizenry. And my experience, at least, is that, yes, I do believe that they believe in the term good corporate citizen, and they act accordingly. So,
okay.
All right.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, George. Good talking to you.
Bye-bye. You too.
Okay, well, how we doing?
You got about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to check, make sure there was nobody else on the line. I'll if I can, folks, because I'm contractually obligated to be with the show until 9 o'clock. And believe me, you all know, those of you that have known me for a while know that I could be to the show till 6 o'clock tonight. Adriana would not be happy with that approach to it. So we've touched on a lot of things that I've been looking at, and just issues that I like to think impact us locally, statewide, and to a certain extent nationally. So we kind of covered the gamut. One thing I thought was kind of interesting, and I'm not expressing an opinion on this. I'm throwing this out for people to think about. This county commissioner in Porter County, Barbara Regnitz, I believe that's the pronunciation of her name. She is the Republican candidate for Congress, and is Frank Mervan's opponent. And I saw an article yesterday where she issued a press release, including an endorsement statement for her from President Trump, and said, "I'm 100% with President Trump. I believe in President Trump. I believe in his programs. I'm with him. He's our guy. He's my guy, and I've got his endorsement." So my question isn't, as a Democrat, I'm not questioning the endorsement. I understand it. What I'm saying is, and what I think is interesting is, given right now where we find ourselves in public opinion polls, or where the president finds himself in public opinion polls, where he is down to a personal low, down to virtually a low for any president in the middle of his second term. A lot of anger, as you heard people calling in today expressed, a lot of anger and frustration on the part of the electorate. What does an endorsement mean these days? An endorsement used to be a big deal. When I was an elected official back in the day, man, you sought those endorsements. They were critical. What does an endorsement from President Trump really mean? Is it positive? Well, it probably in money raising and in the local base of the party, I'm sure it is. But to the broader spectrum, to the larger spectrum, to moderate and liberal Republicans, to independents, what does it really mean? Is it important? Is it good? Is it positive? I just throw that out. I think it's really something to think about. It's just something to think about. And media endorsements, you used to fight like heck to, boy, can I get endorsed by the Times? Do you think I can get endorsed by the Post Tribune? Would that work? You answer all the questions they send to you. You wait with bated breath. And then I found out as a 3-term public official that I never got into positive endorsement. I think I might have gotten one time from the Post Tribune. Never did from the Times, unfortunately, but that's okay. I get it. I understand it. Just something to think about as to what endorsements mean. When you issue a press release, and what's been in the press for the 48 hours prior to that is ICE agents killing 2 innocent people who they weren't even going after, killing them in the streets of this country, and engaged in the kind of activity in which ICE is engaged. And then the president comes out, because Holman, the head of Homeland Security, says, wait a minute, let's take a pause here. We need to revisit our program, revisit our standards and our policies and our procedures. And the president says, no, we don't. Let's go. You know what, to the wall. Let's go get them. And then sort of reversed himself. I just throw that out as kind of a thought. And I do understand that we have one caller, which unfortunately we had 2 callers. I hope we can get you both in, and we'll give it our best shot. Caller number 1, go ahead.
Jim, in closing, remember, your party is the one that has difficulty telling us what a woman is.
Yeah, well, I don't buy into that, and I don't buy into culture wars and culture issues. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about people that need to have Medicare for all, people that need to, hospitals that don't close in the rural section because we're all fighting wars in Iran. That's not what I'm talking about.
Do you want to
culture wars or
do you
culture
want to talk
wars?
about the fraud, Jim? Do you want to talk about the fraud with the Democrats?
I don't know of any
Medicare
fraud, but
and
you
Medicaid
can
for
enlighten
all.
me. But
There's
I'm just
no
saying.
fraud in Minnesota and Ohio?
And there may be, and we have to clean it up. But that
There
doesn't mean
may
that the
be,
purpose of the
Jim.
program isn't right. We need social services, and we're not getting them to the people. What we're getting to the people is higher costs, higher prices, higher gas prices, fighting a war that we have no business being in. No business. Starting a war.
Jim.
This country's starting a war.
Jim,
It's
your
awful.
boy that you support, Mervan, doesn't want to prosecute Somali fraud in Minnesota. Your boy, Mervan, that you support, says women can compete against biological males. Are you for that?
I'm not for or against. I'm for Frank Mervan. I'll agree with you 100%. I'm not here to argue culture wars at all. I do have my own opinion on it.
So you don't stand for anything?
Oh, I stand for a lot of things. This isn't the purpose of the show today. If you want to listen, hey, I welcome you to turn on
the show to address issues, Jim.
Well, I welcome you. Well, addressing issues and allowing people to speak their mind and everything is different than getting into partisan political debate. I'd love to do that. Just listen to my podcast. You'll hear what I feel, and
So
you'll
there's
hear
no
how I stand.
Democratic fraud.
There's
no
about to
Democratic
say,
fraud, Jim.
No, it's not democratic. There is fraud in government, and it crosses both areas because it's usually in the regulations and the people that are using the supporting are people that draft the regulations and enforce the regulations across the board.
Should we address Governor Walz and the Democratic fraud
No.
and prosecute those?
Sure, if there's something to prosecute there, absolutely. I know nothing about it. I don't live in Minnesota. I don't know. I know a little about it. When I
Jim,
hear,
you're more
but-
educated than that. You don't know anything about it? Jim, come on, man. Who you crapping?
I'm just telling you the truth. I know that there's been an investigation started. I don't know anything about it, and I shouldn't know anything about it. They can come out with their findings, and then I'll comment on them. So, thanks.
Right,
Thanks for
Jim,
the call, though.
and there's no vote.
Appreciate it. Okay, last caller.
Hey, last time I'll call you today, Jim.
What the hell?
You talk about the Trump endorsement?
Yeah, I was just asking about that.
Just ask Danny Jernell what he thinks about the Trump endorsement, or the other, 5 guys who are just pathetic conservatives who got their asses handed to them in the election. They weren't even close. That's what the Trump endorsement means. And like I said, I'll bet you on the hardcover price of the book I recommended, Ball of Collusion. I'll take Barb over Frank.
Well, you know what? That's exactly what I'm talking about, Mad Mac. That I'm glad that you said that. Hey, that's a side of an endorsement. I agree with you. My only response to that, or my response to you, because I'm kind of run out of time to that, is this. An endorsement in a Republican primary with maybe 9 or 10% of the voters voting is a far cry from an endorsement in a general election across the board. That's a whole different kind of endorsement, but it is a valid point that you raise. That's what I was looking for. I wanted to hear.
I even got a better one for you. How about the Democratic endorsement that's going around now by that? What is it? I can't think of his name. What is his name? The guy that's kind of running the Democratic Party. Oh, I know who he is. He's the Islamic guy who's running New York City, who's running for what is your party called now? The Social Communist Party of America.
No, that's what Trump
His
calls it.
endorsement's
That's
going
not
good.
It. It's the Democratic Socialist Party, and it's only in New York. And come on.
Oh,
that's
Joe.
a limited. It's a limited area.
Listen,
Don't make that a national issue.
Jimmy,
'cause
that's
it's
your
not.
new leader, boy.
Oh, come on.
That is your new leader.
He's New York City's
Raise
leader.
that
and
hand
that's where
high,
he is.
baby.
That's where he is.
Yeah, welcome to Sharia law coming to town.
Oh,
hey,
Lord.
great show, Jim. Come back real
Okay,
quick.
I will. Thanks, Mad Mac. All right. On that happy note, we're going to have to leave it right there, folks. This has been a blast. I mean, I was telling Adriana off mic. I don't know. I get an adrenaline rush that's hard to describe when I get to do something like this. I love it. It's just a passion. And
You will be back next month.
Huh?
You will be back.
Oh,
next
that's
month.
right. Oh, yeah, folks. I forgot. I'm going to be back on August 13th, I think.
I can tell you right now, it's either the 13th or the 12th, whatever that Thursday
Okay.
falls on.
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Okay.
You will be back on August 13th.
On
You are
August
correct. Yep.
August 13th, and at that time, I've been trying to talk to someone that I know. If I can pull it off, you will love to hear from, and it's going to be an open mic, folks. It's going to be an open mic, and you're going to get a chance to to ask them tough questions, assuming I can arrange it. So at this time, I just want to thank you all for listening. Thank you all for putting up with me and droning on here. Like I said, it's been a blast. I enjoy it. I can't tell you how much I enjoy it, because every time I come in, I see the smiling, beautiful face of Adriana Alvarez,
thank you.
who is unbelievable, who I've seen for the last couple of years just mature in this position as a producer. This lady is going places, folks. She is going places. I thank her from the bottom of my heart. Thank Jim for asking me. And until next time, take care, folks. Stay hydrated.
Come to Bands, Bikes, and Brews on Saturday, July 18th at Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois. A celebration of rock, motorcycles, and cold brews explodes at 3 p.m. with live music from Grindstone, Fatal Order, and Count 77. Rock out with headliner LA Guns. Rev up with special guest and bike judge Danny the Count Coker from the History Channel's Counting Cars. Admission is just $20. For tickets or to register your bike, visit foxpoint.org. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
I'm a victim of being ran over by a semi while I was flagging. The person wasn't paying attention and they hit me with their vehicle.
I seen a accident where we were the first people to walk up, and that picture will never leave my mind.
I've seen people get hit before. It's been horrible.
Construction zones on roadways and bridges are more than just cones and equipment. They're the workplace for thousands of dedicated union laborers.
Everybody has a family that they need to get back home to, so please just pay attention to us out here while we're working.
We all have family, and I know it's a pain